Squad, turn that shit up, man.
The following show is for mature audiences only. Shy City Sports.
Watch the tape, and when you see the tape, you know the tape doesn't lie, and the tape doesn't lie.
Because all of my hope was lost, because you're the guy that I pointed would be the penicillin to this pussification, to this bullshit, to the manipulation, and to the frustration of the fans. You're the guy, because I see you speaking like I speak. Maybe that's just bias to me. Obviously, me and you debate on things, but we're trying to better the Bears. And I think both of us love this football. All of us love this football team. Right. And I think you said something that's it needs to be addressed tonight. The fact that the owner took shots at you, to your character, your persona, and Owen still loves the Bears and wants them to succeed, says everything why I'm right. It's people like you that can't go into their environment and shake things up is why they continue to lose.
Well, I mean, me and George can disagree on a lot of things, right? And we can disagree on that story, and we can disagree on the fact that you have to take everything I say with a grain of salt. We can disagree on the fact that he probably disagrees with a lot of things I say about him. But one thing I'm sure we both agree on is we want the Bears to win football games. We want them to hire the right general manager. We want them to hire the right coach. Would love for them to get that right, get that culture right, that standard right in that building. You can disagree. You can not even like each other and still want the same goal for the city of Chicago, for the state of Illinois, so we can enjoy a good football team that gets to the playoffs, a team that wins games. So that can also be true in everything that was said, right? So all that stuff can be true. All the things I say from my point of view can be true. All the things George says from his point of view probably can be true too. But as far as the Chicago Bears, can they get the right head coach? Can we get Roquan Smith to be an all-pro consistently? Can we get Jalen Johnson to an all-pro level? Can we get Eddie Goldman back dominating the middle of that line? Can we get Justin Fields to become that quarterback that Chicago's been longing for years? That's one thing that I'm hoping that me and George and McCaskey and whoever else in that building, that everybody has in common. That if you can Google snap decision Olin Cruz, and it'll come up in Google. And David Hall wrote the story. I said in 2009, while I was still on the Chicago Bears, while I was a player in the locker room, I said that they asked me if they should fire Lovie Smith. I said that the problems start a lot higher than Lovie Smith. And they said, what do you mean? I said, the Bears need to be fixed from top to bottom. I said that while I was still a player on the Bears. I had to meet with Jerry Angelo after saying that. I had to meet with Ted Phillips after saying that. So those things, these feelings have been going on for a while. And I said, look, I'm just going to talk about it already. I'm going to talk about where I think they really need to fix the Halas Hall, where they really need to fix that building, because I wanted to talk about ownership and how ownership can affect the locker room, how it can affect the players, how it can affect everything you're trying to do there. How when you're at Halas Hall as a coach or a player, things seem to be an uphill battle a lot of the times. So we talked about it a lot, and I knew, and I told Jay, man, this is going to ruffle a lot of feathers up there. People are going to be pissed off, and it seems like they are, right? And like you're saying, I don't know. I don't know if it'll lead to change. It seems like they're really just kind of trying to be mad, even push us farther away now. So who knows? Who knows what will happen there? You hope that if we just constantly keep saying, this is what you guys need to fix, because it doesn't seem like they think they have to fix what they need to fix. Because look, what they basically told you at the end of their press conference is nothing's changing. But then they're going to answer to me, nothing has changed there. George is still going to talk to Ted about what the general manager said, and they're still answering to Ted and George.
So, Olin, just to move away from this a little bit, I said just like with what you had to deal with, Bears fans have been kicked in the nuts repeatedly for decades now, it seems like. But I was talking to Phil, I'm like, we didn't really know how they were going to handle this. If it was just going to be Nagy, if they were going to move Pace to a different position, well, then they moved them both out. And Phil and I were talking on the phone. I'm like, now we have to watch the press conference and hope that Ted Phillips at least isn't a part of it at all, Phil, because if he is, then just like you said, Olin, nothing has changed. The only thing that has changed is Bill Polian replaces Ernie Accorsi in the grand scheme of things. But the way that this is developed and the head coach, I'm not going to ask you, I won't ask you about the GMs, but the head coach candidates that they've did they have the list for? I'm asking position wise, what would be Olin's best five?
Well, I'm well, in the mix then is obviously Armstead, Cody Whitehair, James Daniels, Sam Mustipher, Larry Borum, and Kevin Jenkins, right? And that's I like that. I like that mix of guys there, right? And here's the thing about James Daniels, I got to see him and Borum at right guard. I got to see if Borum and Kevin Jenkins, because if I got Teron Armstead, I got to give him all that money. He's my starting left tackle, so that's done. Right. And then there's Cody Whitehair, there's Sam Mustipher, there's James Daniels, there's Larry Borum, and there's Kevin Jenkins. And to answer that question without knowing all of what, like they moved James Daniels out of that center spot because they said he couldn't make the calls, right? And they moved Cody Whitehair to left guard because they said that Cody had trouble making the calls. They moved Sam in there. Is James better than Sam at center? Is Sam better than James? Is James better than Cody at left guard? Is Borum better than James at right guard? Those questions I couldn't answer for you.
You would figure that out
will get answered
on the field.
Yeah, those are the questions that when I put them all in pads.
Exactly.
Look, they have to figure that out themselves.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Keeping it 100.
Keepin' It 100.
I go trading up.
100.
Yes!
What? Here it is! For just recording.
Stick no competition.
Keepin' It 100.
The people drop off, but we still keep
I know we need to run the ball more. I'm not an idiot.
Keepin' It 100.
Keeping it 100.
Open competition.
Keeping it 100. The smartest man.
My Chicago Bears select Justin Fields, quarterback, Ohio State.
Guess who's back? The two dudes that kept it real. The dynamic duo that you love, the smartest man and Dr. Phil. Breaking down the film, never a problem, kick it straight. Most shows focus on stats, we focus on the tape. We keeping it 100, never running east or west. We coming with that truth, cause that's what our fans expect. Cut off the freaking anchor, moving forward to be free. But don't you worry, Shayne's got the dumbest tweets. It ain't no secret, Phil and Shayne got some haters. But now them out stuck like the true and now and laters. Debaters, frauds get kicked like Coach Tabor. Cuts had to be made, we added a barber moderator. Up and down, boys got you double checking. Sad sacks trolling like a fool drunk texting. Flexing on the truth cause you know they'll never change. Real, recognize real, that's what you get with Phil and Shayne. 100's what we do when we're breaking down the Bears. Fuck a play or a captain, all of the unfair. The tape never lies, the truth you see. We laugh, we lie, so there's no babies like Maybelline. Straight to the truth with acumen and facts. We got a sad nerd, but he's not just giving nerd stats. Car crash, big impact like Max Sack. Every Wednesday night you got the smartest man Phil back. Now we know you're smiling like a fat kid with fun dip. We're back better than ever and we keeping it 100.
Keepin' It 100.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Keeping it 100.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest
This is Claudio the Barber, and this is Shy City Sports Keeping It 100. Oh shit, the Bears just interviewed another GM and coach. Look at that. What a fucking crazy week. So we got a lot to talk about, and of course, we got another great show for you tonight. We got, from the Under Center podcast, friend of the show, Kenneth Davis, coming back on. So let's bring on the boys, the peanut butter and the jelly, the salt and the pepper, Shayne, the smartest man, Marsaw, and Draft Dr. Phil.
You're on the air, baby. You're on. You did it. You made it.
We are on.
We did it.
Live.
We did it. We're on the air live.
This is amazing. What's
the
up,
best
boys?
Bears show on the planet, Claudio.
So we've been told.
You like that hype? I've been getting hype lessons from Angelo. You didn't know that. I was calling Angelo, getting some hype lessons.
You came in late with the yo.
Did I? Late?
Oh, yeah.
You were early, but
yeah,
on the air was late.
Never early.
You never do it.
There it is.
Never do. That's why you
Terry
got all
Franklin's
girls.
got it.
I got all girls. Oh shit!
Never got it right, Claude.
Terry
Never got it
knows. Early
What's
was
up?
pumping the song to his speaker. That song always gets me ready for the show.
Which one?
I said, hey, oh, baby. Oh, parade.
That gets
The
me ready for
extended cut.
shout
That's
out.
the bonus edition.
That gets me ready for Cherie's giant smile every time that song comes on.
She blushes every time.
Claudio keeping it 99, as George said.
Hey, it's
He's
close
always
enough.
coming in.
Close enough.
Almost at
Right
100.
there. I'm right there.
Almost there. Chicago Bear football, Shayne.
Dude,
Getting there, man. I'm ready for the next step. I know I said maybe Monday. This
Looks
past
like
Monday.
This guy was 100 on keeping it
Oh
100.
no, you said 2 or 3 weeks there, Tano. Don't
We're up.
don't-
We're second interviewing today, but we have guys scheduled for Saturday. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. It
That
seems
doesn't
like they're
make
doing
sense.
the double, the double whammies. You're seeing, you heard about Eberflus today, and then
Yep, he's-
Morocco Brown. So there's the obvious connection there.
You got Dodds pulling out like Claudio with Ford girls.
Yeah, but that's the thing, man.
Gotta do it. No, listen, guy. I mean, there's now, I think, 15 GMs, 10 coaches. Like we talked about this before.
How many have we interviewed, Shayne, technically, as far as GMs?
I'd
are
have to go.
concerned?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
There was this
6,
list.
7, 8, 9.
Yeah, they did Rand Carthon today.
Yeah.
So Rand makes it 9.
Yeah, it's 9.
Yep.
So they got
And
9 GMs they've interviewed.
And those are the ones they're reporting on.
Well, what
I
do you
mean,
guys think? I mean, of all these interviews, is it a good thing? Bad thing? What do you guys think about that?
Claude, you and I talked about it a little bit
Yeah.
before everybody got kind of behind the scenes to kick off the show. I think it's the smart move, because how many times do we say, hey, you have to do your due diligence, you have to turn over every stone? They haven't lost out on anybody yet. You know what I mean? You look back to when Ryan Pace was here, there was 4 guys. And now Polian, to his credit, there is seemingly adding to the list every single day. I think that it sounds like when they're interviewing a guy, if there's a name that gets brought up, they're researching it. And if it's somebody that piques their interest, and they're like, fuck it, we'll bring him in. We'll talk to him.
Right.
Dodds pulled out today, but that's what Dodds has seemingly done in the past. In 2020, he pulled out in Carolina. He pulled out in, what was it? Where was the other one? I think I have it here someplace.
Was he Jacksonville?
Yeah, he pulled out of the Browns GM search in 2020, and then the Panthers GM search last year. Greg Gabriel, reported today that can mean one of two things: that you have kind of the inside track, knowing that you're going to be getting another, job, or you have the inside track on some knowledge that, hey, guess what? You're not getting hired. And I know
They didn't. Yeah, he didn't have a good interview.
Well, they said that he bombed his interview in Chicago. This is
They
according to
did say that?
Yeah, the Bears blog reported he bombed the interview in Chicago, and he bombed it in Carolina. That's why he pulled out.
Well, he seems like, just from seeing his quotes, he seems the anti-McCaskey, that he's going to be like me, dropping some F-bombs and say, listen, we're going to fucking fix this. This is what we're going to fuck have to do. You know, he seems like he's a fiery type, and I've never really obviously spoken to the guy or been able to talk to him, but
yeah, and that might work better though too, Phil, because I'll use you and I as an example. You being more, you know, drop the napalm at the, you know, blink of an eye, where I'm gonna sit back and be like, all right, Phil, now let's pick up all these fucking pieces that you just busted up, and we're gonna figure out what we should, you know what I mean? There, you take a more analytical sense, and I think if you're gonna be the lead dog in an organization, that's probably the wiser play. Whereas the head coach, you have to be immediate reaction. You have, you know what I mean? Motivation plays into that. So I think that there's got to be a give and take along the way. And you look at, I know at one point, even myself, I had brought up Dodds and Flores as a combo, and they may have talked to both of those guys and said, these, you know, Jesus Christ, Halas Hall's on fire, and these dudes are out there just pouring fucking gasoline on it. And
well, let me just push back a little bit. Obviously, I wasn't in their interview, but I'm just saying, hypothetically, I think Dodds comes off as a guy that speaks truthfully and not, you know, calling George a pussy or whatever.
Right.
He's speaking truthfully.
The track record is there, Phil. It's there. I mean, it's there with Ballard. But
so,
at the same time, why would Ballard
they can't
or
take
Dodds?
That.
But why would Ballard, you know, if Ballard is part of funneling information and all this, Morocco Brown is still involved.
Right. Well, let's go back a little bit more and say, okay, let's look at who they've had here. There's a bunch of yes men. Phil Emery made the wrong decisions. It wasn't hindsight. It was like prayer for me and Shayne. I just remember they're going with Trestman. And I was all night praying for Bruce Arians. Like, just do the right thing.
I was like literally the first person back in the day. I can remember back on like Facebook, and I believe we were still on that Bears message board back then a little bit. I can remember posting it, and people are like, who the fuck? I sent Brad Biggs a DM.
I remember this.
He didn't even know.
Right.
Brad Biggs started following me after that, and we developed kind of a, you know, Twitter relationship back and forth there for a while because of it. Because I told him, I'm like, hey, Brad, there's legitimate reports saying that Mark Trestman has resigned in Montreal, and he's going to be named the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. Nobody fucking had that. Nobody did. And
you've never tried to be
I could give two
Boston
shits. I could give two shits about getting any respect that way, or, you know, whatever. That's I couldn't possibly.
I'm not here to break news. We're here to break down the truth of football. I honestly,
or wrong. We will admit when we're wrong, right?
Yes.
Here's a guy with an insider right here. See this? He has a lot of inside facts.
I'm sure that's incorrect, 100%. Just like I'm sure Jim Harbaugh is still in play in Chicago. I'm 100% sure of that. And you could read whatever you want from anybody. I'm just letting you know, in talking to someone I really trust, that confirmed that for me tonight before we came on the show. So everything is on the table. The Dodds thing, I just wanted to keep it 100, obviously, on this show, and think, well, are we going to go down the same road of yes man, rookie GM, and not handle the true issues that are seen and established in this organization? We have to have faith, obviously. And Shayne and I were talking earlier today, and he was 100% right. Like, let's be honest. Red Hat Duck, Bob Loblo, Matt Beyer, Jimmy Jam, and Terry Lewis, all of you have no fucking clue on the GM guys. You just don't, because they're not.
We talked about it today.
Commodities.
That's the thing. You go
There's
back.
No shot at those people,
right?
I'm
you
just
go
saying.
back and you're basing everything off their free agent acquisitions and their drafting, and there's so much. That's actually a very small part of what a general manager of a football team is responsible for. And it's very hard to get any intel unless you know somebody on how these guys are in the interview process, how they are behind closed doors. You just have no idea. And that's, I mean, we're not going to sit here and bullshit you about that.
We also, obviously, with Kenneth coming on, we're going to talk. This is going to be the topic of conversation. It is what it is. But with the coach, I can look fundamentally at the tape and say, okay, these are the final guys. Let's go look at their tape for our patrons and see what kind of defense or what kind of offensive teachings, because it only took me 3 games to realize Matt Nagy was
Big plays are nice. They're good. We need more of those.
Way in over his head when it came to big plays and all of plays. Everything was plays, not fundamentals, not countering what you're doing. And everybody knows the story and has caught up to TTNL in regards to that. We will take our victory lap because, well, we earned that because we actually put in the work when other people just flip-flop or word things so they could handle both. We can cover our ass here like certain people looking for nerds to produce a show, and we can cover our ass over there. I'm just going to keep my truth 100% what it is. What it was Josh Allen, and everyone was fucking bagging me because no fucking way, this guy sucks. Where is he now? He's the envy of the fucking league. Or if it's Johnny Manziel, and I felt this way about Johnny Manziel, I'm going to keep my truth. That's the only way you could be respected. We all make mistakes, but here we're going to have to look at these coaches. I'm in the belief you should hire the GM, then have the GM involved with Polian. Now you've got another football guy.
I think you're going to see that
you trusted. You know what I'm saying?
I think you're going to see the GM hired.
So then I would be right, because there's just no way 2 weeks. We're almost on 2 weeks now. That you could go out there and
we're a week.
We're over a week. They fired him on Monday.
Yeah.
So what was that?
8 days. 9 days. 9 days.
9 days.
9 days. Yeah. So 9 days, and they're gonna probably Sunday announce a GM, right? This week.
Hope so.
Weekend, Monday,
Monday.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. Listen. When they have a guy like Brian Flores in, or Eberflus or Morocco Brown, they're going to have the list of who Brian Flores would be.
Even in these interviews. Shane.
Absolutely.
They have to.
You saw Reggie McKenzie's name. Now, that's somebody that I'm not interested in at all as a general manager. But where is he? He's
the
VP.
heat miser. If you
he's
pull
the
up
VP
a picture of him, Jackal.
He's the VP in Miami, where Brian Flores came from. So is that a direct influence of Brian Flores? We don't know, but you see the Eberflus, Morocco Brown. If you, like I said, going back to us not knowing a hell of a lot about these GM candidates, if you listen to the Hogan John's newest podcast, Joe Shayne, they had a beat reporter from Buffalo on there talking about him.
I thought his name was Sean.
Yeah,
now it's Shayne. So
just
you
hire
like
him for the
more.
name. Hire him for the fucking name alone. Right?
More.
That guy sounds brilliant. But that's what you're talking about. So is it going to be a Joe Shayne, Brian Dayball combo? Is it going to be a Morocco Brown, Matt Eberflus combo? Is it going to be Reggie McKenzie, Brian Flores? But I mean, Eberflus comes in. Now you have to answer me some fucking questions who your offensive staff is. Same thing with Brian Flores. Leslie Frazier wants Ken Dorsey as his offensive coordinator. Well, I would say to him, if Brian Dayball gets a head coaching gig, why is Ken Dorsey leaving? Why would Ken Dorsey not just take the OC job in Buffalo? That's going to be the best for him. He knows He knows the personnel. He knows the quarterback. It's a better offense, and that promotes him to be a head coach quicker.
Yeah, quicker.
So these things all tie in. Is that's going to push Leslie Frazier down for me? Jim Caldwell, I just don't. And I don't want to make this an ageist thing. With 67 years old coming in to a new regime and he's had, health issues that have taken him out of the game before. If you're talking to me about an OC spot for Jim Caldwell, I'll listen to it. Head coach, I'm not buying that. I'm really not.
I don't think, and it's no shot at Caldwell, but I just don't think Caldwell's personality is right for what
he's
this
more
team
Lovie
needs.
Smith than
Yeah.
what I think you and I.
Yeah, this team needs a kind of reboot in a boot camp. I'm just letting you know, guys.
The coach
like
is going to get in people's faces.
I don't know.
That's what you need.
It doesn't really have to be like. There has to be some sort of maniacalness to them. That's got to be in the DNA here, because in Chicago, we just saw it last year. Obviously, Claudio asked us before the show. Matt Nagy, 0 interest around the league, and Ryan Pace, 0 interest around the league. This is what George and Ted hung on to, that kind of unrealistic hope when there was 0 accountability. So that's got to be the first box that's checked when it comes to the GM and the head coach. Is there accountability? My father's talked about it on a patron show. I'll say it again here if I haven't. But my uncle, Sam Rutigliano, was the head coach of the Cleveland Browns, and they made a mistake with their second round pick. They drafted a guy in the second round. They found out in OTAs and in training camp, this guy cannot fucking play. So instead of doing the politics thing and keeping the guy just to save face, they cut the guy and they move on. And they set the tone and level of expectation, holding the entire building, place, and everybody, the scouts, everybody accountable. That's the kind of people we need, because Ted and George, I'm sorry, they're fucking pussies. That's what they are. They're a bunch of...
She agrees with the decisions that we've made. She's pissed off.
She's pissed off. How long could she be? She's pissed off for her whole life. She's been pissed off. It's all about accountability. It's all about preparation and teaching. How do these guys teach? How do they prepare? We're going to hear a lot of things like Flores. They didn't like Flores. He blew his interview. We're going to hear about Dodds busted his interview. Someone's going to say that. They heard that.
They didn't say that with Flores.
Oh, they didn't say that?
No, by all reports, they're extremely intrigued.
Intrigued by Flores.
By Flores, yeah.
I think he's still the odds.
Yeah.
So like the best odds, right?
Yeah.
Bet US odds.
Bet US odds, yeah, of course.
We got to check those odds. But I'm just saying, we're going to hear these things.
Somebody had something in there about Khalil
Elliott
Mack.
Wolf.
Khalil Mack, said Champ Kelly, and that's and I don't know a hell of a lot about Champ Kelly, the person, obviously, and maybe he's been here for quite a while, but in terms of me listening to my guys on the roster of who they want as general manager, I would listen to what they say. But it's like, my kid when he wants to eat a candy bar at 1 o'clock in the morning when he comes and wakes me up, I'll listen to what you say, but then I'm going to be the decision maker. And I'm not real concerned about Khalil Mack and who he wants as GM, because this fucking organization needs a culture change. And that maybe that flies in the face of consistency with Champ Kelly, but I don't want the consistency with this part. I want something totally different. I need fresh faces, fresh philosophies. I don't want to be like, I know what Champ likes and I know what Champ doesn't like. I don't want that. To me, that's a turnoff. I see Champ is interviewing in Carolina for the GM job. Yeah, Sean Desai is going to be interviewing in Seattle to be their defensive coordinator. So you're going to
for Sean.
Yeah.
I don't know why this ain't working.
What about this guy? I don't know if you guys touched on him. JoJo Wooden. Is that it? Have you guys?
I don't know a lot about JoJo. That's like what we kind of alluded
Hasn't
to.
been interviewed yet, but
some of these guys, yeah, he's on the list. I mean, even
from the Chargers, he's the director of player personnel from the Chargers.
JoJo's on the list.
Yep.
To be interviewed, yeah.
Yep.
It's not letting me.
What are you trying to do?
Can you? I'm trying to copy an invite, but it won't let me copy and paste for some reason.
Well, while you do that, here,
I said, hey, oh, baby, oh, bring that fat ass on.
Anytime
I don't know why it's doing this shit. I can't get it to work.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
sending.
there we go.
You got it.
I'm gonna send it to you so I could send it to him.
I just sent it to you.
Ken's watching, and I'm trying to get it to you,
Hey,
Kenneth.
Ken.
Technical difficulties here, because I thought I had Ken's.
Rick Smith is another name, and there's been
Wasn't there word that he was going to be interviewed?
Yeah, and Adam Johns and Adam Hogue did speak on that, and there's been some questions about his commitment because he lost his wife and they have kids, so he's kind of turned his life towards that. And there's been some question marks if he's ready to jump back in to this head first and being able to, work the 18 and 20-hour days, 7 days a week, 360 days a year. Because I mean, when you're a GM, you get little to no time off. And
right.
Does
he have children?
Yeah, they do. And then he lost his wife. So that's kind of why he went back, stepped away, stepped down. But none of these guys are perfect. It's performance based. You know what I mean?
Frogman's perfect, apparently.
Yeah.
In the chat. Gotta love it.
What the hell is
not saying that.
There he is. I think he's the only guest that has a drop. I think.
Yeah, we got to get more drops. We got to rearrange our drops because
we do.
Olin deserves a few drops that he laid out there. Jackal didn't do shit this week, so we didn't get many drops except him on the Porcelain Peninsula.
Yeah, give him a few minutes.
Anyway, we're going to be getting into a bunch of GM and coaching talk. MC Search is on for a new era in Chicago Bears football. We thought we had it when he was on the draft show with us, when we got a franchise quarterback and a left tackle. Little did we know we were going to get a coaching and GM change. Oh, yes, we did. Yes, we did know. We all knew it in our hearts, I believe. Here he is from NBC Sports Chicago's Under Center podcast, and that Davis show, the voice, the Barry White voice. Smash that like button. Smash that like button, y'all. He's Kenneth Davis.
Bears fans, when you're not listening to all the dope TT&L content we're pumping out on a daily basis, I suggest you check out the rundown for our next guest. This guy is the new host of the Under Center podcast from NBC Sports Chicago, the host of That Davis Show and Flippin' Friends. But tonight, he's going to turn the hosting duties over to Phil and Shayne, so he can sit back and chop it up with the fellas and talk some collaboration, Chicago style. TT&L fans, he's Kenneth Davis.
There he is, bobbing his head.
Yeah.
I wish we can keep the instrumental just go. Look at you, keeping it 100.
Look at that.
Let's go.
It's wearing the swag. That's my
Is
boy.
the 100 for the candidates? The number of candidates we're revealing?
Look. Yeah. I got no comeback for that one, Shayne. Because look, good or bad, isn't it better that there are more candidates? But
Damn
it still
right.
comes down to
we're talking
who's
about when
selecting
Ryan,
the candidates.
Yeah, when Ryan when they did Ryan Pace, it was like 4 guys. You know what I mean? And hey, we were excited about it because it was change. And Phil and I were talking about this a little bit earlier today. it's hard to it's not like a draft prospect where you can break down tape and you have everything. These GMs, really nobody knows. You know what I mean? You're looking at their draft history, you're looking at free agent signings, and you're basing everything off of that. And we know there's way more to the man behind the scenes because GM is all encompassing. It's literally this is what the guys are going to have to eat. I'm going to hire the person that's going to feed these guys. It's everything. So it's, you know, he's the king dingaling, like they like to say, right? And it's hard to project guys like that.
We don't know. I mean, you know what their titles are.
Yeah.
But if we're looking at drafting talent, because none of these guys necessarily have been the last evaluator as far as, take that guy. They may have been the presenter, but they weren't necessarily the person to select. So you don't even know how that person's going to handle that job, to say the least. And then you look at it as far as this person in charge of football operations. I think sometimes we don't give that the proper due to what entails football operations. Football operations is just not drafting a player.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So your point, and I love when he was like, JoJo, I don't know what.
Yeah,
how about, like, that's not my job. That's not my job. But you can at least look at the organizations and see, as far as consistency with winning and structure, and does it seem like they have been consistently moving in a positive direction? And you can hope that individual will bring that into this organization, but we're not going to know until that person gets in there and starts doing some work.
I'm just a fan. I'm not a football evaluator.
And as soon as they make their first round pick, and we don't like that pick, we're gonna be like, this guy is fucking terrible. This guy's terrible.
Exactly. What were your? Yes, we're gonna kill him.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna listen. It doesn't even don't let the guy be average or below average his first year. We're really, you saw when he drafted so and so, but look, he doesn't have to worry about that this year because he doesn't have a first round.
That's right. Yeah.
So yes, he gets out of that.
He can draft the next Adam Shaheen in round 2.
The Kevin White
killing me.
The Kevin White draft.
Me.
No.
Oh man.
Yes, that presser though. Let's start back and then go forward. Obviously, Shayne keeping it 100 GMs and coaches just for all of us in unison. Almost like the one thing I felt like Pace and Nagy did do well, breaking news here, was the kicker search, where they had all these kickers to try to find a solution, which they found Pinheiro, but really gave it to Cairo first. So they ended up finding their kicker in that dramatics. Here, to your point, they're doing their due diligence, casting a wide net to find both the GM and a coach. I'm all for that. Obviously, I have my answer. I already Jim Harbaugh is the answer to me to this team's travesty of what it is. I know he would fix this, but are they going to go that way? I don't know. It's still on the table as like 35 minutes ago.
It's still on the table until it's not officially.
Until it's not.
Right.
Until Jim comes out and says, hey, I'm not coming to the league. I'm signing back to Michigan. It's still on the table. Go ahead. What were you going to ask?
Now, when you look at the fact that he brought in a defensive coordinator, all right, he's out there with these kids. Now, look, Jim Harbaugh has enough strength in Michigan to say, hey, this defensive coordinator, he's going to be here regardless. The boosters perhaps will back him anyway. I'm just wondering, would he do it? Me personally, he's one of the few people that I will kind of give the power to select who's he's going to be working with as far as the general manager. There's been enough success, but I don't even want to always make it seem like Jim Harbaugh fixes all problems, though, because prior to leaving the 49ers, Colin Kaepernick had plateaued. It didn't happen after. It happened his last year there. But if I had my druthers out of the list that you have right now, I mean, I would have to really go with Harbaugh because, one, he's done it in the pros. Yes. 2, and I always think about Pete Carroll coming from UFC. The guys that come from college, and I mean the guys that have been in the pros before more than just guys coming from college, have an infinite amount of information about pro personnel that just entered the league, kids that are in college, and kids that are even in high school that will be coming into college because they've been out there recruiting them. And I think that's really beneficial to any organization, having somebody that's been enthralled in that type of situation. Now you're adding them to the pros. It gives you a leg up. So I'm with you, Phil. I would be happy with Harbaugh. I just don't know if he wants to do it yet. You know, like if I was him, I don't know, because
the only thing, Kenneth, is McCaskey and Phillips. Think about it, because you got Justin Fields, and Jim knows Justin Fields' talent. Jim knows it. He witnessed it. He got beat by it. And the person that I know who knows Jim says Jim thinks the world of Justin and felt like Nagy completely let him down. That right there, to me, is a selling point. But Jim Harbaugh is 44-19 with the San Francisco 49ers, who were much like the Bears when he took over. He had Alex Smith at the time, turned his career around. They ended up turning around their whole program and going to 3 NFC champions. Anybody taking shots at Jim Harbaugh, to me, is comical because A, he won at Stanford. B, he won at San Francisco when they were meddling in complete and utter chaos. And C, he went to Michigan and won. Like, why are we just skipping over the fact that he was in the college football playoffs with a team that wasn't even ranked preseason? He took this whole team to the pros, and he's a former Chicago Bear who said this is his dream job on the record. Those things mean something. I honestly, the deterrent is George and Ted. They don't want this kind of power given away, in my opinion. Just reading how they present in that press conference, they want to do it the same fucking way and just change the fucking characters. And that's how I see this. I hope I'm wrong, Ken, but I really believe when someone says you're owner of the team, I'm just a fan, but that same fan, are we going to get Louis from fucking the pizza shop to pick the GM too? He's a fan.
I think you'll hear more about Harbaugh when he gets that $100 million offer officially from Michigan. Because I think first and foremost, that's been
that's what I'm getting.
You got to be a poker player, and you want to get he took a step back financially last year. So
well, think about that, Ken.
The college football playoff.
NBC Sports comes to Ken and said, listen, numbers aren't up, whatever. We didn't have a good year in COVID. Let's see what you're going to do. We want you to take a pay cut. Then your show blows up. Are you like, fuck your show? I'm going to Saturday Night Live. That could be Jim Harbaugh. He could be like, you know what? Michigan, you sucker punched me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take my what is he going to do? Is he going to win a national championship at Michigan? Can you win in the Big Ten? Exactly.
Not
so
no, you can't.
Not if you can't recruit a quarterback.
Right.
Yeah, but I think you even need a little bit more than just
I think
that.
Exactly.
I mean, I'll say this: there's a slim chance.
Georgia had 18 draft picks.
Exactly. There's a slim chance he could pull it off, but it's not likely. Particularly if we're talking about Big Ten, if you're not Ohio State, it's not likely that you're going to be able necessarily to pull it off. But you can be a king almost forever there. You know, like now, because to me, and I've always said,
see what you're saying.
When last year, when people were like, "Well, Michigan's going to get rid of Jim Harbaugh," my thoughts was, "Why? You aren't that good." I mean, and I meant like as a blue blood organization, kids don't look at you like, "Man, I can't wait to go to Michigan." Like, wake up, realize who the hell you are. Like Texas, and Texas is a sleeping giant, but still, Texas sometimes thinks that their poo-poo doesn't smell. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no,
right.
Know who you are. So Michigan, I thought they were foolish to get rid of Harbaugh when they were talking about that last year because I don't think they can get a better coach. You know what I'm saying? So he could stay there for a decade. And this is the crazy thing about Harbaugh too. He can always jump back into the NFL. Like, that's the thing. Like, what if necessarily these jobs, and I'm with you, Phil, from this. Before he came, when he was at Stanford, I wanted Harbaugh. When he was at the 49ers, I wanted Harbaugh.
Mm-hmm.
What if this job right now isn't the same job that he had an affinity for in the past? You know what I'm saying? What if there's another job or organization? Because like you pointed out, he still has to deal with George and Ted.
Right.
And I mean, how much power does Virginia? Now, Virginia has an affinity for him, supposedly, right?
She does.
But how much power does she actually have and say so? And this is the thing to know.
At 99,
he grades. Harbaugh is not going to take that BS. If it goes left we'll know quickly with Harbaugh.
Yeah. That's
You know what
what
I'm saying? Like,
that's
so he's not-
exactly what I'm saying.
So,
too.
but for him, he made me look at it as why I even put myself in that position, though, where I have
Unless
a key.
you get it written, like listen, I'm in charge of this, the 53, the GM, and everything. I'm gonna handle. Like, you don't fucking hire a chef. You own the restaurant. You don't hire a chef and tell him, listen, we're gonna make mac and cheese. If you've hired him from Italy to come over here for his amazing pasta and pizza. No, we need to do mac and cheese. You believe in that person, especially when you don't have a clue. And that's where I feel like this ownership is in the way. That's why they continue Ernie Accorsi, Bill Polian, and what have you. I'm all for the big net and casting it out there, but I know what they should have done is just do whatever you can to get Harbaugh, because I guarantee you are now going to be a competitive football team right next year. It's not going to be, this takes 4 years to learn my offense and never have it happen ever. Matt Nagy. Jim ain't a shoe salesman. And that's, I don't know if the McCaskies can handle it. Now that press conference can. Real quick. There he is.
Nerd alert!
Evening.
Nerd alert!
Double nerd alert. Yes. That
You're on the air, baby. You're on. You did it.
It's my boy. It's my boy, Blue.
That press conference, Ken, real quick. Obviously, we got on the Jim Harbaugh thing, but there is no script on this show. What did you think of the whole thing? And then Ted, which I felt was the biggest quote, was Ted has no regrets about hiring.
That was a gut punch. Yeah, that was a good. That right there was like the disrespect. To be honest with you, that was disrespect. And listen, I'm not saying that you can't have an affinity for these gentlemen and that you have to disrespect them, but you could openly say, we made that decision and it didn't work out. That's all you really have to say. You don't have to diss them. I wish them the best. And it doesn't all fall on them. It falls on me and George too. It didn't work. But you don't have to be like, I don't regret it. Listen, I wasted 7 years of your life. Guess what? You don't have to do us like that. Like, treat me a certain way and I will treat you a certain way. You know what I'm saying? And that the arrogance right there from Ted, listen, I had an out-of-body experience because I could basically see myself in the face that I made when he said that. I didn't even know Ted was there. When I clicked on, it was because I wasn't already like on the website. You know how you get there when they're walking to the podium. No, I clicked on when he was talking about the high school kids getting on Nagy's son.
Oh my God.
That's where I came in. And at that point, I didn't know prior to that he was talking about Parker Dickerson, right there, you don't put those two things next to each other.
You don't even put any of those in this presser.
Exactly. So I mean, you could still come out and say, I feel sure. You can open or end with it. You know, I wish the best or whatever. But for that to take place, I didn't know Ted was there until Ted popped up, and I was like, oh my goodness, Ted is here, right? And why wasn't he sitting next to you? Like that's the worst part. If you're gonna trick me well. Don't like lazily trick me.
Have him sitting in a bush, right? And just like peeking through if this is the way you're going to do it. Like, I'm sorry, let me come in and talk about this for a second.
The hiring of Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy, I don't regret that.
Aretha came in with lies. But
see, that's the second worst thing.
That was the confirmation.
I thought it was the worst thing.
To me, that was the confirmation that without
that one and the Olin one are at the
Olin one is
the one that gets me. The Olin one, look, the Olin one is bad, but the two that got me is one, like I don't regret that, but the one that gets me the most is why don't we hire a president of football operations? That structure doesn't work for us.
Right.
Like that's the one.
You've ever done it.
That's the one because it's like, well, the structure you have doesn't work.
My wife told me we're going to have a wonderful day at Home Depot and Bed Bath and Beyond. You know, that's what that said. You know,
I mean,
I'm gonna go to H&M.
Yeah.
My wife came down as like, your face is super red. I have a red wall behind me, and she's like, "You look as angry as that wall right now." It's like, this is everything that I had hoped had happened. All right, hey, no Ted, and to your point, well, Ted's here on the call. Great. Like, this doesn't work, but we're gonna do it. This doesn't work. This doesn't do it. And Olin Kreutz is a shitty human being, and you're like, why don't you just piss on somebody while we're at it and just call it a day?
Pissed on the fans
all day,
as you said. But first of all, they started, and I felt like I walked into one of those key parties.
Oh,
the couples,
Lord.
What do they call
You're
it?
talking about a
swingers part. I go, what? Are we at a presser? He's talking about a kid's parent, a father that has passed away, and the kid, and then all of a sudden he's talking about scolding the fans for yelling at Matt Nagy's kid. And I'm like, is this the press conference? I felt like I was in Twilight World.
I gotta ask a question real quick. So this is what happens at key parties. People have these conversations.
Exactly. It's so awkward.
That's why we don't live in Connecticut.
I came here to watch
That's why we don't live in Connecticut.
So now I know if I enter a party, someone's talking about someone unfortunate that's deceased, and I'm like, oh, this is a swingers party up here.
No,
I don't know.
If you go somewhere and Phil is like twirling his keys, that is your sign to get
out of there.
It's about to get weird.
There's nothing more awkward that I felt. I'm serious now. And also, I mean, that would be the most awkward thing I could think of. Like, you go to someone's house and that's what's going down.
Phil, go back to what you said when he was saying, just talking about, I don't regret that decision. That's complete confirmation that if Polian was not here, that we'd be heading into year 5.
Yes.
With this entire crew.
With
Pace would be gone, or Nagy would be gone. Pace would still
be here.
But nothing would have
the same shit.
Yeah, it's just a couple of different names, and
we would have hired like Mike Kafka from the quarterback coach from KC, and we would have stuck with Sean Desai again.
Sean Desai, we like how the defense, Eddie.
And we would have traded our second, third, and 14 first-round picks for a first-round pick next year for a tight end from a small school that nobody had heard of. So it would have been the same.
Yeah, Polian is what, Kenneth, we came away with. Obviously, we had Olin on the show last week to confront that issue that Ted said. I could play that if you guys want it, but we all understand what an embarrassment that was. On top of all of the embarrassment, I promoted Olin way back in August, saying this is the guy that needs to be hired to fix this. In my opinion, is Olin Kreutz, because I feel like he had a level of truth that the McCaskies needed to hear and didn't want to hear. But also, he's not a politician. He's not someone that's going to come in there and mix his words, and he's going to give everyone a fair shot by addressing the issues that he knows that are already there. And I think the McCaskies are so afraid of those issues, those warts that they know are there, aside from Ted sleeping with 2 secretaries and all of that bullshit. The football side of the stuff that needs to be cleaned up, people that may be in positions that they shouldn't be in, that are good old boy hires, those type of things. I think Olin would clean that up and be on top of it to have that kind of voice that they don't have there, that they hired yes men. They've surrounded themselves with that. And until I've heard anything differently, from Ballard to whatever, you throw a name out there that has an issue with this franchise, this situation with the chairman or whatever his title is this year, calling out Olin Kreutz was a slap in the face to the fan base, to every person that pays for a season ticket. I just felt like, because he called him a liar, and Olin has Ryan Pace and former offensive line coach who was given the offer by administration, Harry Heaston, confirming the story. So it just makes matters worse. Can you trust them going forward?
No. I'll say this, and I'm happy with everyone. We have hope because we're Bears fans. But
Right.
everyone that I talk to is basically like, yeah, I wish I can give it a benefit of the doubt, but I'm not. Because the history of like they haven't earned any equity. And then they spit in our eye. Like, you just come out, give your mea culpa, walk out. He came out wanting smoke and thought he did something. Like, he thought, like, I'm gonna let their asses know, right?
Exactly.
And the media was clack, 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 clack. And the fact was, if you're gonna come out and take that, he answered all the questions, because there were several questions he did not answer.
None.
Right? He looked straight at him and pretended like he answered, but he did not address what they asked him. It was ridiculous. I went upstairs, and the old lady was working from home that day, and she said, "So?" I said, "It was even worse." Right? I was shaking my. I said it was like, how
worse
could you
than collaboration?
Yes. How could you take getting rid of Ryan Pace, something that was what we were worried about on Monday? Nagy was out. We knew Nagy was going to be the fall guy. He was out. The question was were you going to somewhat clean house, right? With getting rid of Ryan Pace, now allowing him as a failure to get a third head coach in there, right? Because then you get into a whole nother situation where probably in 2 years you're getting rid of him, and then you're going to bring somebody else in and saddle him with the damn coach that you let Ryan Pace pick, who Ryan Pace shouldn't have probably been picking, right? So you got decent PR because Ryan Pace is gone. We all wake up on Monday, Ryan Pace is gone. So we're waiting for the presser. And then you come out and blow it. And you just don't blow it. Going from what Ted said about it's not being regret. Going from I'm just a fan, but he's going to be reporting to me. What the hell is he going? What? How can you understand what he's reporting to you if you don't have a better understanding of what's going on? And why is it that you are 70 years old, 68, however years old you are, and you haven't made it your business to be thorough in your knowledge of football first?
I'm just a fan. I'm not a football evaluator.
That's ridiculous.
I'm just a fan.
That's ridiculous.
But Kenneth, it's worse because when you say it like that, remember, we all left that game and we're like, Nagy's gone. Is it Pace? And we rolled that roller coaster the next morning when they fired him. And then the roller coaster got even higher because everyone's like, Ted isn't announced as part of this. Ted isn't announced as part of this.
Right.
It didn't take more than 30 seconds for that guy to destroy all the goodwill that built all morning to that point. All that goodwill was gone when he shed on the fans and tried to sucker all the press up by talking about Jeff Dickerson's son before he went and used that. Like, now that I said something nice.
It was so
unauthentic. Just go back to the draft. Look at the euphoria from the moment of Justin Fields. And then immediately, we didn't know. We just assumed they brought this dude in. He's gonna fight Andy Dalton for QB1. Here we go. And
Andy's still our starter.
Gets here, and he's not even getting any reps with anybody.
You can't be so dumb. You can't be this dumb. You are this dumb. It's like
every time I think they can't be any dumber, to your point, Phil. Like anytime I start to be like, I love the clip of you going, there's hope, guys. There's hope, right? And every time I start to build up hope, I got to listen to a McCaskey presser, and all that hope is battered against the rocks, and it's gone.
Yeah, wait, and address. This is another thing too. Just as I won't even say as a man, as an adult, address your failure. You have not been successful during your tenure. You should address that and tell us, outside of having someone report directly to you, what are you really going to do that's different? And what's the difference between them reporting to Ted and reporting to you? Because it failed with reporting to Ted. How's this going to be different because you're closer to the connect? It would be baffling if it wasn't the McCaskies.
But their culture is the envy of the league, right? They have everything but wins, right? Like
2020.
We have everything but wins.
We got everything but wins. I don't regret. And this is the problem, to Kenneth's point. It was Ernie Accorsi. It is a shoe salesman, and I'll be the only one I could say. Terrible. Bill Polian is the opposite of that. So Bill
God for him.
is a straight shooter. He's done this before. He's a Hall of Famer for what he's built, not the friends he has. So let's look at that for the hope. And then Kenneth, real quick, and then we'll get into the people in that are coming in the building interviewing, because that's what everyone really wants to hear. But we wanted to go backwards before we go forwards, because this part right here, where this whole diversity now has come into Georgia's wheelhouse, and now they've hired Tanisha Wade, Wade, who was the former events planner. She was planning freaking the 100 party and George's grandkids party, whatever the fuck else she was planning. And then you have Soup Campbell, who was basically the player snitch, where players come to him, tell them their issues, and he's helping them in their finances. He's helping them find housing or whatever. Now he's up in this meeting deciding with these George, Ted, Tanisha, Soup, and Bill Polian. Those are the 5 people overseeing this hiring. So to me, they threw some ethnicity in there to cover their asses. It's almost like they were doing with buttering up the media with Jeff Dickerson's son. That's how I read it, because these people aren't in positions of power. And 4 months prior to this, it's almost like they planned it. They both got a promotion, both of these people. So to you, in your thought in this, you're very thorough in your investigation of this. What do you think of that? I mean, I felt it was like a shield for them.
So let's get to the Lamar Campbell
yes.
one. He, from the things that I've heard here in the city,
yes,
he is a person that has been doing positive things, and it's not as bad as the Tanisha Wade situation, as far as, and I'll say the two. I'm not even talking about where she was before. I want to address how George said what she'd be doing. Like, oh, she's there like a flower on the wall to learn. You don't even have to do that.
Right.
You know, like they're like, if you're going to do, you don't even have to do that. So you disrespected the person that you were put in that position right there. I had to go and check to make sure what Lamar's first name was, because I'm like, Soup Campbell, what coinky dink is this? Like, well, that's a hell of a name right there. Like, address him first. But no, the Soup Campbell inclusion, I don't feel like is as bad as Tanisha. And I'm not at all trying to disrespect that sister as that, but her own boss didn't even set her up properly in that situation. I'll say this on the flip side.
Mm-hmm.
George and Ted don't know shit.
Exactly.
Maybe having some, you know, I'll tell you this, us black folks have been able to read y'all for a long time, because it's part of our way of staying alive in this country over here, right? So to me, I'll go to your point. Yes, it's a shield.
Okay.
All right. Like,
that's how I read it.
I'm not, but even as a shield, I don't want to castigate Soup Campbell as much in that situation, because there have been some, and I mean positive rumblings from him in Halas Hall, from what I heard. I'm not in Halas Hall, but from everything what I've heard, that one isn't as far.
Is he going to? Are they like? And that was my follow up to it. You knocked it out of the park, because I thought it was so disrespectful in the moment that you're putting this woman in this position, but at the same time announcing her as she's learning. So what kind of voice does she have in the selection? It's not like, you know, this is American Idol and her vote is just as powerful as Simon Cowell's vote. You project it as she's learning from us, and she's just she's token there. And that's how I took it. And, you know, it on top of the Olin shit, to have that kind of shield, everything they do to me is fraudulent. And it sucks, to your point, because we end up having this hope. You hope they get it right. You hope the Chicago Bears brand is what will be holding up a Super Bowl trophy. It's hard after this many pressers. There's the one where Mama's mad. She's pissed off. There's the collaboration, regression. And now there's this ethnicity and salt, grain of salt and stupidity. And it just infuriates me, to be perfectly honest, that I can't not celebrate the Chicago Bears ownership winning. I would only celebrate the team. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're that, I don't know how to say it. Cars was red, as his wife said. I am just so done with their diversity and bullshit that they throw out here. I am.
It's like,
you don't have to be done with the Wait, you don't have to be done with
Yeah.
the divert.
No, I don't like the fact that they throw that shield up. I want diversity.
Somehow the city has the worst ownership, right? Like the Bulls have been garbage for forever until Reinsdorf finally handed it off to his kid, right? Like the Cubs were terrible for so long. Reinsdorf gets to double up as one of the worst owners in baseball as well. And then we can add in the Blackhawks, right? Like it's so hard to root for these folks right now because it's a train wreck. It's a train wreck everywhere. And, you know, if they took this stuff seriously, if they actually cared about this stuff, like it's akin, kind of, Phil, to your point, like I'm not racist. I have black friends, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
we're not
That's how
racist. We're going to include these people when, if it's not such a big deal, when it's just a standard thing, you don't even have to mention it. You don't have to talk about it. You don't have to say like that's a thing. And it almost comes across like it's a thing now, but it hasn't been for all those years in the past, right? Like it's just this weird. It felt to me like they knew they were losing people. They knew the messages weren't great, and it was a way to try to get people back on their side almost. And I don't want to take away from these, you know, from either of these folks, right? Like it's not, but you're kind of, I don't know. I've seen 5-year-olds make better excuses for, you know, why they just punched their kid in the face, you know, another kid in the face, than kind of what we saw in that press conference.
And to Ken's point, Lamar and Berlissimo's pointing it out, Lamar has played in the NFL and has a voice in the locker room, knows these guys. So if he's going to be that, I just want that voice to sing. I don't want Ted Phillips' voice even in the fucking room. And unfortunately, it's there, and it's still there, because going back to the presser, Ken, Shayne calls me, Pace is gone too. And we're celebrating on the phone. And we're like, Shayne brings it right up. The only thing we got to hope is that this presser, there is no Ted Phillips. And I go, oh my God, you think they're going to fucking bring him out? 4 minutes goes by, I'll say. It was minutes. Like, look, the press is saying it's only going to be George addressing. They got this, Phil.
That's what they said.
They got
was
this,
the report
Phil.
initially.
And I go, holy shit. They're turning the page. They're learning. Lo and behold, same old tricks.
Let's turn the page right back on your ass.
Yeah.
Shit just ain't
like,
shit.
Hey,
But
it's like we've all seen those places, right? There's a restaurant that stayed up, right? But the names has changed 20 times in 25 years, right? And every time it's like new owner, but you go in back and it's the same guy who's cooking the food, changing the menu, but the owner keeps changing or the name of the restaurant. Like that is what we're doing. We're just kind of keep going like, this is not McDonald's, it's McDonald's now. And here we go. And this is what we're going to do. And you're just
McDonald's,
like,
yeah.
McDonald's.
Yeah, McDonald's. Like, you're like, come on. What?
it was Paula Abdul. It was like, take 2 steps forward,
2 steps back.
16 steps back.
Hopefully the opposite's attractive.
Wait. Let's be honest.
Yes.
This still has to be some steps in a positive direction because the house, to a degree, has been cleaned. We don't have to worry about, as far as this point, what Ryan Pace doesn't know, won't do right. And at this point, guys, just at this point, there's hope, right?
Yes.
And even after they select that person, there's still going to be hope until, like what Shayne said, until one after the draft, and that'll be the first test for the most part. Free agency and the draft will be the test. Also, head coach, the staff, filling out the general manager staff, also who he brings in around them.
Yep.
Those will be some other tests, but there's hope from where we were last week. The only part is you could have just listen. They were better off not to even address the press. You know, like we'll come out when we
statement.
Yeah, we'll come out when we find out who the general manager and head coach. And we would have been upset, but it would have been not knowing. We would have been ignorant of because we were like, man, they should have said something. But we would have been ignorant to the fact of we would have prevented ourselves from watching that fiasco that took place last Monday. But
we should have done what the Giants did.
There's hope, guys. There's hope.
I hope
if
there's
we
hope.
got the right.
We hope there's hope.
It was like we should have done what the Giants did. Hey, we're just not going to air this. We're not going to your news reporters can tweet about it, but it would have been so much better if none of us got to watch that press conference.
Listen, you don't go to Chuck E. Cheese for the pizza. That's the reality. The Chicago Bears have to start understanding. Bears fans are fucking loyal. We've been abused, neglected, shat on.
Maybe we're just stupid at this point.
Yes,
I think that's it. I think that's the part. We're done.
We have, what is that syndrome with the you get?
Oh, we have Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome. We have Stockholm syndrome. It just happens to be in Chicago, and that's where we are. So we're going. I'm glad we were able to see that. I think what Kenneth is saying is where I am now. There's hope now. I hope that Bill Polian does exactly who Bill Polian is. And I honestly will say
it seems like he's doing his due diligence.
He's doing his due diligence. And I'll say this, I'll keep it 100 here. I don't care if it offends anybody. He is an old white gentleman, and that's safe for the McCaskies. And he's going to be able to say, fuck you, Ted and George, in a polite way for them to hear, this is the guy that you need to fucking hire, not your buddy's friend who never fucking coached in his life, never called plays, or did he call plays, or what
Phil,
happened
that was the report.
genius.
Their intention was to keep Ryan Pace.
Yes.
Polian went to him and said, listen, you have two options here. You're either going to go with the clean slate, which is the correct option that you should choose, or your other option is to extend Ryan Pace, because you're never going to get a quality head coaching candidate that's going to come in to a situation with a lame duck head coach,
general manager
on a 1-year deal. No, everybody's going to be like, fuck you. You know, we're not going to tie our wagon to that.
I'm sure to come back.
You could have got some trash, but totally. I mean, even find out that's crazy how George danced around how long Bill Polian and him have been in contact. You see, he didn't answer.
Yeah,
he didn't answer that question. He danced around that. Listen. I loved the Bills of the '90s, except when I was like, damn, I don't want to see them in the Super Bowl again. So about the third time, it was like, yo, I'm straight, guys. I appreciate you, but I'm straight. Unfortunately, I was a huge Peyton Manning guy. I'm saying unfortunately because Tom Brady is better. So I mean, I'm a Bill Polian. Listen, even going back to what he did to Jags, right? He was the Jags or Carolina's?
Carolina.
Which one? Carolina. So
he was in the Carolina.
So even with what he
and
did
the
down
Colts.
There, yes, I said the Colts were Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
But so dude, I it's cool. Outside of course the miscalculation on Lamar Jackson, you know what I'm saying? But it's just total blunder.
But that's the thing, and I mean that is an awful miscalculation, like you said. But every friggin' GM has these massive, whips. My biggest thing that even though Lamar Jackson thing is awful, the thing that pisses me off with Bill Polian, and I'm a Sirius XM lifetime subscriber, and when he was on the show every single day, he came out and said, "Oh, we had a first round grade on Tom Brady. We just couldn't draft him because we had Peyton Manning." I'm like, well, then draft him in the second round. Then draft him in the third, or the fourth, or the fifth.
It's like
take him as a backup.
Fourth or fifth.
Listen,
don't
that's
try to
such
ram that
a
shit
lie.
down my throat.
Dude,
exactly.
That's such. If you had a first round grade on him,
damn
you
right.
could have put him behind Peyton, and traded him for at least a second if people got to see in the preseason what he was doing.
Exactly.
Like, so like that, don't, oh my
Like
goodness. I didn't know
Ron,
that one.
what's his name?
Oh,
Ron
yeah.
Wolf. He drafted how many guys that he traded out of Green Bay?
Think about it.
Now,
Aaron Brooks, Mark Brunell,
Brooks,
Matt Hasselbeck.
Hasselbeck. They drafted these guys with that kind of, hey, we got a good grade on him. We might need a safety from San Jose State, but this quarterback at the position offers more value. That was another thing Ryan Pace always promised. You got to get, it's the most important position. Got to have great get off. And he doesn't do it. Thank God we're done with that.
I was about to say he's gone, Phil. He's
gone.
gone.
He is gone.
So let's move away from the let's flush the
presser's gone.
Go forward.
We had some great drops from Kenneth, I'm sure.
Everything at this point, Kenneth, you've heard the names that are connected to it. What would be, and I don't even want to me at this point, I still think Jim Harbaugh is unrealistic. I think he wants the $100 million deal first and foremost in Michigan because it's just an easier lifestyle. There's less pressure, everything.
You own everything.
Yeah,
exactly. You're the big man on
Jim
campus.
Harbaugh cafeteria, dining hall.
Just so take him off the plate. If I'm coming to Kenneth Davis and I'm
Harbaugh library,
who is your if you were selecting, who intrigues you the most at GM and who intrigues you the most at head coach for the Bears?
But the GM situation, we talked about it. I couldn't tell you who and what has done what. We also had Ed Dodds withdrew his name today. It was like, I'm good. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing that he withdrew his name.
He's done it the last 2 years.
That's about to say. He didn't talk to Cleveland, and then he did it last year to Carolina, where he withdrew his name. And even on our show, not in a negative way today, but Hogue was kind of like, sometimes in league circles, he's viewed as somewhat different. You know what I'm saying?
They want him to be a scout. Yeah, he wants to be a scout instead of a GM. My question then is like, with those reports, why are you giving him an interview then? Like, if it's the report, it's like he keeps pulling out and he doesn't seem to want to do this gig, but we're going to interview him anyway. Just sounds weird.
It could be. Well, these guys are always
sex life.
Yeah. But I think that what that comes back to, Cars, more than anything, is there's always a coach out there that's going to unlock Jay Cutler. You know what I mean? Jay was a jackass here. He was a jackass. Well, I'm going to unlock him. I'm going to change him. I'll get it out of him. I'm going to make him that. And it's honestly, it comes down to due diligence. If you believe in the talent of the guy, you're gonna check it out. But
here are the names of the GMs for Kenneth that have been Glenn Cook. Oh, you got them all?
Yeah, I got the names up right here.
Give me some fucking names. Give this kid 2 fucking games. Give me some fucking.
For me, and it's funny. We had gotten off the air earlier this week, and I was talking to Alex and Eric, and we were talking about the Colts and Ed Dobbs and Morocco Brown. And I was like, well, and now the week before that, it was like Morocco Brown, and kind of as a joke on the show, Alex brought up Matt Eberflus. So the joke is that show guy, since you brought him up, and he did a decent job of selling Eberflus, right? So I'll say best case scenario for the Bears, because how often do they get the biggest name? And who are the big names out there? Because you're not getting some other team's good general manager. We're getting people that are being trained up to get in that position. So I'll go with Morocco Brown, to be honest with you. Listen, I wish Bloodlines worked in GM, because Elliot Wolf, I would be like, but it's like, I don't know. Exactly. And then it's the Patriots. You don't know who. Everything in the Patriots is Bill Belichick. I don't know what you do, sir,
until you find the book.
Yeah, it's like everything. So I can't even go with that. When I watching you guys prior to coming on, Rick Smith is cool. I mean, and the thing that would be great about Rick Smith, one, he kind of be taking a step back from being a president for a team, but the Bears actually need a president. Going to what I said coming on here.
Yeah.
I know. I know
title,
what you're about to say. A real but unfortunately, we need our GM to be able to be a president functioning as a GM as well. All right, that's because they're combining 2 jobs, because I don't. It works for them, even though they haven't won anything in a very long time. So I will go with Morocco Brown or a Rick Smith if he was fully committed to perhaps, But I don't know. See what happened if I bring him in and then 2 years from now he's like, you know what?
Well,
that's
the thing, Kenneth. I go back to, you brought up the Buffalo Bills. I bring up Marv Levy, and he used to say about the players, if you come to me and tell me that you're thinking about retiring, you're retired already. Yeah,
retired already.
And listen, he could be fantastic at his job. You can't be 92% into it as a general manager or as a president of a football team.
Look,
you have to be
the high school.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, Marv Levy went to the high school. Like my neighborhood high school is the high school that he went to, South Shore High School, growing up.
Nice.
I'm sure, but the neighborhood didn't look like the neighborhood that I grew up in. Marv Levy was going there. But yeah, I always got a love for Marv Levy.
One of the things that I don't think it's talked about enough, and I always bring up that there's a poker element to all of these moves. I'm gonna do this. This person's gonna make their move. I look at a guy like Morocco Brown, and I think he comes into a situation here in Chicago already with a loaded weapon in his pocket from Chris Ballard. Don't open this door over here. Right. Stay away from there. You don't want to do this. All right. On the third floor, there's skeletons in door number 6, 7, 8, 9. Ted banged this secretary down on the 7th floor.
Y'all are wild, man.
But I'm saying
it's true though.
But I think that's an undersold positive with him coming here, because he's got the roadmap of where the fucking minefields are.
Look, I wouldn't say Morocco Brown if Chris Ballard wasn't running out. Chris Ballard is the one that got away.
Yeah.
And this is I'm not saying this in hindsight. I'm saying back then I was like, wait, you said this dude had been in the building? And he's been down there where? And he knows what's going on up here. I didn't like it when they didn't sign Chris Ballard. I'm with you. Because of Chris Ballard, even if you brought me Ed Dobbs, I would feel like, look at how that organization is being run. Look, they're not winning Super Bowls, but you can see Andrew Luck retired on their ass. But you can see how that'll mess you up. You can see how sound they are. And then this is the kicker too. When Chris Ballard comes out, and he's like, I got my ass chewed out. This is happening. This is happening. We got to do this. Not sugarcoat nothing. Shooting straight. When you see, and as some people may call it a little bit eccentric as he may be, a Jim Irsay on the tarmac, like, man, this is some BS, dude. Those are some simple things that we ask for. You know what I'm saying? And I'll say this, as Bears fans, the fact that we have to look towards the Indianapolis Colts to help us says a lot. You know what I'm saying? That alone is messed up. They should be looking towards us to what they're going to be doing next. But the situation is what the situation is. So I would say Morocco, because I'm with you, Shayne. Let's look at what may happen rather than what I want. Sure. And then until Harbaugh, jumps off that porch, I don't know what's going on. So I would say Morocco Brown. And for me, coaching wise, first person I was talked about was Brian Flores, right? Like, so because one, and listen, I'm willing to lose out on a coordinator who's going to be the next head coach because I don't trust the Bears, and I'll lose out, and that's messed up because this could be the next great guy that we may pass on because you guys have whiffed so much, and in the past it was being cheap. It was power hungry, so you want to have more control of the situation. So you didn't want to bring in someone who knew how something should be run properly and had done it before in the past. So I would say Brian Flores, and then I would go back to, I'll give you to Eberflus and I guess Brian Dable. You know what I'm saying? Because at least with Brian Dable, and you can say the same with Eberflus. These are guys that totally run their sides of the ball if we're going to coordinate. This isn't a guy that's doing this with the head coach. That's you, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I'm not saying
that's a great point.
Well, but I think with the Dayball connection, and your colleague Adam Hogue, him and Adam Johns talked about it on their podcast. They brought up Joe Shayne, and which is seems to be
by y'all though. Seems like he's going to be with the Giants. So
yeah, that's what
the Bears.
They're doing.
The Bears really want him. They got to jump now. And I'll be honest with you. Now, if he's great, go get him.
Yep.
But if he's a guy that you're like, he's all right, but he's not real, like if he's like, yeah, he's not pretty. Look, he's not pretty enough to hassle me to move.
You don't
up
want him to be
the
the flavor of
rainbow
the
on it.
month. Like, oh,
Right,
this is going to be
so-
hot for 5 minutes.
I'm happy.
Exactly.
I'm happy that they're not going to let him force their hand. And if it's like, hey, the Giants want you, appreciate you, whatever, go ahead. Be methodic. Take your time. Don't take forever. Because let's be honest, you need a GM by next week.
Right. I mean, we would hope. I was hoping the GM would be hired first. Shayne made the great point. I'm sure I just missed it in my head, and everybody all be like, "It's obvious, Phil." But the GM, as they're interviewing, who's your coach?
Who's your guy?
three?
That's like
coaches?
That's like literally
Yeah.
the number one question that you're going to be asking.
Yeah,
But
that's got to be there.
the
Like
thing.
the coach, who's your offensive coordinator? Who's your offensive line coach?
Or
and who's your defensive coordinator?
That's
And
number
what
one
GM
for
would you
Flores.
feel comfortable with working with too?
Number
Is
one
there-
for Flores has to be who's going to be your offensive coordinator, who's going to be your
Right.
offensive line coach, because you
Exactly.
can see the connections. I mean, Albert, this is the shit that gets me worried, and I'm not trying to disrespect Leslie Frazier as a coach or as a leader of men or any of that. Albert Breer reported everybody that he reaches out to and that he's seen, everything always circles back to Leslie Frazier as the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. I mean, there's not too many other people in the NFL that are locked in like Albert Breer is. The problem is Leslie Frazier wants Ken Dorsey as his OC. Well, if Dayball goes anywhere, why the hell wouldn't Ken Dorsey be like, I'm going to be the OC in Buffalo? I know the quarterback. I know the personnel. That gives me a fast track to be a head coach myself. Why would he ever come to Chicago when you're really rebuilding the offense from the ground floor up? And
I'm with you. I'm not the biggest, and I'm willing to miss out on former Bear Leslie Frazier.
Oh, me too.
What you hear about how his building was running with the Vikings are positives. You hear a ton of the guys didn't quit on him. Like you hear a lot, but it's not enough proof in the pudding for me to go down that road.
Right. What has he done? What did he do?
I'm off of that. I'm off of Leslie
Jim
Frazier.
Caldwell's
I wish him the best.
is another name that to me would be if you're talking about it as an offensive coordinator, I can listen to that.
Which is what I think interviews are for.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I think Bears fans need to realize
that could be Flores'
all
OC.
of these guys. Yeah, all of these
Or
guys.
Caldwell.
Yeah.
Huh?
Or Frazier's. The issue
Frazier's.
when you look at these defensive coordinator guys, the first question you always have to ask is, who have they worked with in offense? Lovey was a great coach. He had no connections on the offensive side. He kept making bad decisions. He
tried to get Tedford.
Yes, but I mean, these decisions that they make and the guys that they get, your success as a defensive guy is going to be, can you find a Daboll that can do what he's done with a Josh Allen, and you can go run your defense and do that? That is why I think Caldwell came in, because he does kind of check that box for Flores, for Frazier, probably for Eberflus as well, to be like, hey, I don't have a guy, but Polian says this is an arranged marriage. Arranged marriage worked well with Eberflus getting Reich in there, right? So, I mean, those things work. I just personally wish that at this point in time, we have 15 GM candidates. We've interviewed 8 of them. We've interviewed 6 head coaches. So why, if the whole point is to get the GM first to set that room up, and maybe Joe Shayne, is the guy that they want, or they want to narrow down. Or
9 GM. They interviewed 9 because they had Rand Carthon tonight.
Rand Carthon today, yeah.
Maurice Carthon's son.
If you don't get to that point that you're now getting to the second rounds, the GM position is way more important than the HC, because you've got to set up scouting departments, drafts. If you want to do this right, you have to build this team.
There was a report out there too that Chicago wants to, when they were talking to Flores, maybe some of the reasoning that Flores brought up, you hear the name out there, Reggie McKenzie's going to be,
mm-hmm.
and he's in my. in Miami as the VP.
Mr. Heat Miser.
But there was a report out there that
he looks just like him.
Yeah,
he does.
He does. Yeah,
that'll be his name if he comes here. I'll tell you.
But there's a report out there that the Chicago Bears want to give the head coach more authority and power in the organization than the general manager has.
But who's reporting that? That's what I want to know.
But that's
like,
one of the things that's
how
out
does
there.
that work? Like, even I'm a coach. I want control, but I even know I have to work hand in hand with the GM.
You work with them, Phil, but that's not. These dudes are different guys, man.
You can't just hire
right.
You can't have someone reporting to George who's reporting to the coach as well.
But it comes down to like Brian So Brian Flores, probably if he comes here, the GM is going to be picking the players. Brian Flores is going to be like, I'm picking who's on my team from those players that you give me. And a lot of GMs are going to be that will literally end the conversation with a lot of
Shayne,
GMs.
That has to be how it works. That's what I was telling you.
But that's how the majority of the NFL is not set up that way.
Sam Martigliano told you this kid can't play here. We can't keep these guys on the field because Ryan Pace fucked up with Shayne in the second. You know what I'm saying? Whatever.
Phil,
Throw any name on
that's
it.
under the guys that the head coach is going to be making the right decision every time also. And that's also not true.
Well, the head coach is 90% going to know, just like the team. If
not
a
in
guy
Chicago,
can play,
he didn't.
Like Cade McNown. Yeah, he wasn't a head coach.
90% of the GMs have final roster decisions. 90%.
They do. That's the way. That's the structure, and that's going to be a killer for
90% of these GMs with the head coach. They make the decision.
Sure,
it's got to be.
It's got to be a mutual thing, Phil. But what I'm saying is, who knows if it's absolutely true, but there's talk out there that is what Brian Flores wants to come in here, and he wants full control of the 53.
Well, if he wowed them in the interview,
but that may be why you have a lesser candidate like Reggie McKenzie as a GM tied to Brian Flores.
Well, Polian and McKenzie have a relationship.
Yeah, but that came after the Flores talk. Like some of these names that, we had the initial list of like 10 or 11, and then Poles got added on, and then McKenzie got added on. Most of these seem to come back after specific interviews. So yeah, from reports, it sounds like Flores really did a great job, right? And no shock there. But if he said, like, these are guys that I'd be interested in working with, you should talk to, that's why the list has grown and not shrunk at this point.
Kenneth, you have the announcement tonight that Eberflus is getting a second interview before they've hired the GM and before they interviewed one of the best candidates, in my opinion, is the guy I predicted was going to get this job. And I believe Shayne and Cars said it earlier than even I did. To give proper credit, that's what I do here. Todd Bowles. Here's Todd Bowles being that candidate. He's getting an interview on Saturday. You're giving a second interview. You're saying what you're saying about Shayne,
I believe, right?
Yeah, him and Leftwich are on Saturday. So
I thought Leftwich was Friday.
Is it Friday?
I thought it was like one day after the other, but I could be wrong.
Well, whatever the case is, Eberflus is getting a second. I don't know if Flores is getting a second, but you have this 3-ring circus, like Will Mookie Hill said. I just don't get how this is transpiring in GM. We're interviewing they interviewed Elliot Wolf the whole day yesterday. Today they interviewed Rand Carson the whole day.
Well, do we know that it was all day?
That's one guy. They did one guy.
Right.
They've been doing
they're releasing,
3 guys in a day.
Yeah.
I don't know, guys.
I'll say this.
Todd Bowles. Go ahead.
To a degree, as much as we get on George McCaskey, if this is improving his football knowledge, him personally talking to all of these people, trying to get a better idea of understanding their processes, it could. I would say it could only help, but it's the McCaskies. But
They've had a lot of these interviews.
Yeah, but I mean, look at it. Like Shayne said before. I think the last time it was 6. It was 5 or 6 when it came to the general manager.
4,
5,
wasn't it? 4 was it 5?
It was 5, and then somebody dropped out with the last.
Cesario.
It was, there was 4, and the final list ended up being 4, but there was a 5th part of the interview.
Ballard.
That person dropped out. Yeah, Light was one of them.
Light, Cesario, Ballard, Pace,
and
one more.
Brian Gain.
There you go.
There you go. Brian Gain.
Buffalo. Yeah.
So, yeah, I hear what you're saying, Kenneth. That's what I just hope, beyond hope, I think you can't hire someone without talking to Todd Bowles. I think that's a dumb move. Bowles is that guy that was taking over the Jets, kind of got
Nobody
a raw
can win
deal.
with the Jets. Nobody can win with the Jets.
Yeah,
Not even Belichick quit before he even
Belichick was there
for them because he knew he can't win with the Jets, right? Like, yeah.
That shows you how good Parcells was.
I was thinking that too. I was thinking that too.
And Rex Ryan.
Yeah.
People give Rex a lot of shit.
What? Year and a half. Another Rex guy. Before year and a half.
Rex, 2 AFC champions.
Parcells pulled Joe Shayne down to Miami when he was involved in front office there. So that's another.
Fan.
So that's
Parcells speaks. That's where I would go. He would be the guy that I'd have with the McCaskies in the room.
I said that. I've said that myself. Like, where the hell is Bill Parcells at?
Oh my
God!
God.
Like, that was the first thing. Like, if you're gonna be breaking
he's
these
at the horse track,
out,
bro. That's where he's at. He's at the horse track.
How much are you going to pay me? Triple it, and then I'll do it.
Yeah, he sits at the horse track all day. That's no bullshit.
But yeah, Polian is there. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just confused by this announcement. Maybe it got leaked out that their finalist is
probably a little bit more to this process that maybe they're releasing who they want you to know about too. That's why I've heard people say, why hasn't they announced Jim Harbaugh? Is because we know that's never going to happen. They're not going to announce a college coach. You hire him and then everybody finds out. That's the way that goes. But
exactly.
Don't forget, like I said, I go back to the
with
politics.
all these portals.
They would kill recruiting.
Recruiting in the portal. The portal's crazy already.
There very well could be candidates that come in and interview and don't want their name even released.
Yes.
I'm sure that's part of it. But I'd let
like a walk of shame thing. Like, no, I didn't just sleep with that person.
Listen,
nobody talk about
this
it.
This is the only.
Like, I did an interview there, man. Get out of there.
Chewing my arm off in the morning so you can roll out of bed.
Let's just be honest.
Get in somebody's ass today.
That tricks everybody. Yeah. That's a drop. Get it?
I know that didn't trick me. I couldn't hear what he was saying.
Oh, play it again for him, Claudio.
Get in somebody's ass today.
Peeing?
Get in somebody's ass
today.
Okay.
No, listen.
Make my wife proud.
Ozzie Newsome comes into Chicago. They would skip over Ozzie because Ozzie has a swagger.
They reached out to him.
I'm talking about young Ozzie. Ozzie.
Yeah.
So to Kenneth's point, Morocco Brown comes in here. I need someone that doesn't fit. How do I say this politely? Doesn't fit the corporate world. Doesn't fit that. Don't be for them. Be you. If one thing Matt Nagy did, be you as the GM. What you are, go in there and be that. That's all I hope. I hope Morocco Brown or whoever they hire comes in there and is their persona and is not this yes man. Because if that's what you got, that's what the only thing is going to work for them. I'm telling you right now. I'll go to my grave. As I said, give me a tackle or give me death. Remember, Kenneth, you were there in that moment.
I remember.
The GM has to be the opposite of the McCaskies. The opposite. Ryan Pace hid in the shadows of darkness, afraid to answer for his misgivings, and the whole franchise is like that. To Kenneth's outstanding point, to stand there in front of your fan base and never take ownership of failure is a failure. That's why you continue.
I'll say this. We had a former host of the Under Center podcast and friend of my own show, now Colts reporter JJ Stankovic on Under Center. And I asked JJ, and we couldn't ask him Bears questions for anybody that, if you didn't catch that, if you watched that interview, because he works for the Colts.
Right.
So he's not just a reporter, like, for the newspaper or for digital. But I asked him about general managers, as far as Chris Ballard, how often does he come out and talk? Is it once a year? And he said that basically Chris Ballard has the same philosophy that Ryan Pace has. I think a lot of general managers has that when the season starts or begins, the head coach is the voice of the organization, because they don't want to have competing voices. I'm just putting that out there because I'm going to say I would like to hear from you a little bit more. That's why I was asking the question. And I know us when we have this complaint, but I want to know how competent organizations go about their business. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reason why I was bringing that point up.
But it's funny because JJ is coming on this show next Wednesday night.
Tell him I said what's up, man.
But did you see Ballard's postseason?
Yes, that he was talking about.
JJ talked about it. Yeah,
real quick, just to push back, and then Cars. I'm sorry. The scripted interviews prior to games is not getting it done. So it's the transparency that Ballard gives that's different than Ryan Pace. It's the ownership, it's the integrity of what he said at that, what Cars is getting at now. That is the difference. I'm talking about hiding behind failure. You know what I'm saying?
But Phil, that's what I said as far as
this is Ryan.
I like
Pace.
When I mentioned Chris Ballard and Jim Irsay as far as owning up. Yes, no, I'm with you. I'm just pointing out
that's a good point,
when we have that complaint about GMs not talking enough, that's just not a Chicago thing. Yes, I want you to be culpable of your mistakes as a grown-up. I want you. I mean, especially if it's a situation where you can't fool me. The record speaks for itself. Let alone the owner has said the record is what matters the most.
Right.
So
and his record sucks.
That's what I was getting back. And look at his record, but like you can't sugarcoat shit. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like we're all watching. You have all these eyes. Like we're all watching. You can't sugarcoat it. So just own it. Like that. Listen, I can't force you to sell that team. Right? I can't. We can't force it. So you may as well just man up. Like I know if it was my team, I would just keep it. I would keep it 100 with you. All right. If it was my team, I'm gonna be honest. If we fail, I'm gonna come out. But now, if it was my team, I would have fixed my mistakes and learned what I was doing wrong in the processes. If it was my team, I would know structurally if it hasn't worked for a quarter century or more, it's time to do something totally different. Like that's
definitely the or more.
Sense.
It's definitely the or more. Yeah.
But when you're in a situation where most owners, if the bottom line, all right, is in the red, they know they have to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
These TV contracts, I don't have to do jack.
Snyder is a great example of that. No matter how many lawsuits he gets into, no matter how many times he screws up. I mean, he got killed and he just took 6 months off as leader. And now he's like, nope, I'm all redeemed and we can go. Yeah, absolutely. Right. They won't hold some of the people that work for them to that same standard, right? Like you cross me one time, you mess up this one time, you're gone. See again, Gruden in what happened with the Raiders this year. But yeah, none of these guys, like there's probably 3 or 4 really good owners in the NFL right now. Probably at best. Like you're probably looking at Kraft and a few others.
Robert Kraft. Who else would you say? You know what? I'll give the Yorks. The Bartolo sister. I'll give them some props as far
they
as
changed everything. Yeah.
I mean, even going from
the Rooneys,
Harbaugh, definitely the Rooneys. You
about
definitely
the fans in Green Bay. Those owners.
That was good right there. You caught me slipping. With that
that struggle the most, right?
Yeah.
Like, what franchises? We're closer to the Detroit Lions than we are the Green Bay Packers.
Well, that's Hogan Johns talked about it today, and when you brought Kenneth was talking about the Jets, nobody can win with the Jets. Adam Johns said the same thing about Todd Bowles. Well, he was coaching the Jets, can't win there. And Adam Hogue goes, well, the Bears are kind of in the same place as the Jets.
Right.
They're not that far away from, and sadly, it's the truth. I mean, there's no consistency there. Everything is up in the air constantly with that.
The people,
family-owned
people that are the hunts, they're in the hunt to win. Jerry Jones, take him or leave him. He wants to win. So he's going to find, his ego gets in the way of what he's doing. But at the very least, I see that he wants to win. That's the difference. The Hunts want to win. The Yorks want to win. The Rooneys want to win. This McCaskies don't understand. You can't get complacent because the NFL is it's Vegas every day. It's like just you're just putting quarters in. Everybody's loves football and they love the NFL, and the Chicago Bears are in the top 3 as far as fan bases following the team worldwide. To have that kind of respect, despite you doing everything, you get lackadaisical. You get complacent. If you decided that you were going to do everything in your power to win, you're going to make 50 million times what you can even comprehend, because Bears fans are going to go and do whatever. Can you imagine if you had an Aaron Rodgers for the Chicago Bears and every fucking game you were in, no matter fucking what? We haven't lived that life ever.
Never.
And to know we were trading everything for Russell Wilson. Remember? If that trade went down, we'd have no picks, no whatever. We'd be here. We'd have no future. So now
Think
we
about
have
how
Justin
appealing this
Fields.
job would be to a general manager then.
Oh.
No, but Phil, you've got a great point. When Jerry Jones came in and he took over the Cowboys, what did he do? He changed everything. He took over and let Jimmy Johnson
Fired a legend.
And what happened? He got complacent. And now, ever since he basically pushed Jimmy out, they've had a structure where everything leads back to him, and he's not going to fire himself. So, and he continues to do the same thing. Mike McCarthy never should have gotten a second gig, ever. And that's the guy that you hired. Like those, when you come in and you're like, I'm going to change the world with my music, right? I'm going to go do this. You put out 3 or 4 good albums, and then all of a sudden you're not cutting edge anymore, right? Like, I'm just going to do this formula. This is what works.
Yeah, exactly.
The same formula from 1984 with Jim Finks, just that we don't win. And we just keep thinking, like, if we just keep going this structure, it's going to eventually pop.
But then you get one good season, and then you get 2019 all over again.
Like, how killer is it that I talk about this too much, so sorry, but Marvin Lewis comes in, he changes culture, they add all this. They win 10 games in a row, 4 seasons, or 10 games, 4 seasons in a row. We've never done that post Ditka. We've done back-to-back 10-win seasons one time. Like, there are problems. We need to look at the structure. We have to get the general manager. You have to do all these things, and we keep going.
You got to get the GM, and you got to get the most important, the head coach, right? The culture.
That coach is more important, Cars, than it's not more important to the GM, but I'm saying it's not. One's really not higher than the other, especially a guy that's the day-to-day that's setting that culture in that building like that. So
Matt Nagy could have fucking destroyed Ozzie Newsome's roster. It doesn't matter. That shit is real.
Lovie Smith is the reverse. Lovie Smith is what happens when you don't draft, right? Like the fallouts from the Angelo era weren't coaching. It was a complete lack of talent.
Well, it was coaching.
Some of it was
they had no offense.
Offensively, it was coaching.
But if you look at the draft start post Super Bowl, literally that next draft, they drafted Greg Olson, and they just, Kenneth, they had Dan Bazine was a second rounder, never played a snap of football professionally. They took him in round 2.
But
neither did Adam Shaheen.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
But I mean, they were
Same
drafting
shit.
second and third rounders that weren't taking snaps anywhere, even after the
doesn't
Bears
that
released them.
strengthen why we're saying the coach is very important? The fact that
his voice has to be in it.
Yeah.
Well, Lovie Smith.
Lovie was involved with Bazine.
Lovie got a lot more power within the organization after the Super Bowl.
After the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He fired Ron Rivera. That was a mistake.
That was
Huge
another thing
mistake.
with Lovie. He really didn't want any second runners up in that building just in case they was going to slide his ass up out of there.
Yeah.
Like that was
He's
a
like,
that was
don't
a Lovie
ruin my
flaw.
shine.
You want to know how many?
Once the Ron Rivera thing happened, Lovie never, unless he was a friend of Lovie, he never really brought in someone that could take his job. And I think offensive coordinator wise, he never wanted to bring in someone where it was like, yeah, if this guy really gets hot and they're afraid of him getting another job, perhaps they may give the job to him. I place some of that on Lovie because
I agree with you 100%.
You want to know how everything comes full circle? You want to know who the linebacker coach is for Matt
Bob
Eberflus? Bob Babbage is the linebacker coach for Eberflus in Indy.
No,
now listen.
Babbage is who took over for Ron Rivera.
No, Babbage.
Bullet Bob. Yeah.
Buffalo, I thought.
What's that?
I thought Babbage was at Buffalo with Leslie Frazier.
Is he? I thought he was in Indy.
Check it.
Maybe he is.
But
Maybe I got
listen
that
to this.
totally wrong.
So the craziness of this is Josh McDaniels hired Eberflus
and dipped.
Josh dipped. Eberflus stayed. Frank takes on Eberflus.
Is he Buffalo?
Yeah. So that's the ironic part. If you hire Leslie Frazier we'll get Bob Babbage in at defense.
Oh my God, I would die. I would die again. Die 1,000. I don't want to keep you, Mr. Kenneth Davis, but real quick.
Let me give me before I get out of here. Let me get a Riley update before I get up out of here.
He's doing great, man. He's thriving. I would say.
Sleeps. He sleeps.
He does. My daughter does not sleep. Riley is a professional sleeper. We head back to the Golisano's Children's Hospital in Syracuse on the 26th for his 90-day clean screen checkup. They're going to do it again, make sure that everything's progressing, but he's in school, thriving. He's getting a full head of hair. He's ready to boot his sister out of the house so we can all sleep. But other than that, he's doing awesome. Awesome.
Right. That's what I want to hear, man. Listen, blessings. I'm sure you're gonna get good news, positive energy, and blessings. All of you all have a great one. To the whole TTL family, TTNL, I apologize, family. Always love everybody. Stay positive, especially when it comes to the Bears. I'm joking. Stay positive when it comes to the Bears. Oh, I mean, look, because cars no, but you said something. This could.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
Listen, there's a chance this could be somebody here that for a decade could give us consistency.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's a low bar, but that's where we're at right now. Right?
Hey, we need that. Give me 5.
Give me yes.
There's hope, guys. There's hope.
I hope
if
there's
we
hope.
got the right people. I hope that is hope.
Yeah, so that's all I'm gonna leave you with, man.
You're dropping on Kenneth's exit. Let him finish what he was saying, Claudio or Jacko with their drafts.
I'm done.
Kenneth Davis. Follow him at That's Davis. You can follow him on Instagram and Twitter, as well as his amazing podcast. We share the love here when it's good. And I can tell you, Under Center podcast is good.
Absolutely. Real quick, just to give props to your podcast, Kenneth. One of the things that stuck out to me when you had JJ on was when he talked about Morocco Brown, when he's down on the field pregame and he was talking to people and they looked over at Morocco Brown and they're like, yep, that dude's a GM. He's
That's
next.
what I'm
He's
talking
next.
about. Ozzie Newsome
Those things,
walking up in there.
Those things matter. They really
let's
do.
Hope.
Shout out to my man Bellissimo.
Cool Kennedy saying what up to you.
What up, Cool Kennedy, man? What's up, Listen,
these guys love
you guys,
bro.
man. I love these guys back, man. Everybody stay positive and be healthy, man, and just take care of your biz.
All right, Kenneth. We'll have you back once we find out what the hope is.
All right.
You're like, what the fuck did they just do?
What the fuck did they do now?
Damn it!
They literally hire the
what?
guy from Little Giants is head coaching us right now.
Right.
Oh my
Rick
God.
Moranis, head
We
coach.
love Kenneth. Kenneth, we won't keep you. We can keep you forever. So God bless you. We'll be in touch. I love you. Thanks for jumping on with us tonight.
Love you guys,
He's
man.
Kenneth Davis from the Under Center podcast and That's Davis. Love this guy. Follow him. Let him know you love him. If you're just hearing him for the first time, go subscribe. All right, Kenneth. God bless
See
you.
you,
Good
man.
night.
Thank you.
Say what's up to the fam.
Sure will.
Hopefully, wife isn't mad I kept you 15 minutes longer.
Later, guys.
Later, Kenneth.
Kenneth Davis, under
it.
center. Gotta love that guy. Not just for his pipes.
Well, that's the thing, man. These guys that we have on, like Kenneth and Olin, and you get so invested in this team. That's when I said that maybe we're just really dumb people for pouring our heart and soul into this team. But that's look at the shit that Olin.
That would be a great drop card.
Look at the shit that Olin put up with during that presser, and what did he say? It's like, I'm not
still rooting.
I
for
want
the Bears.
nothing more for this team than for them to win. I want the Bears to right the ship, and I want them to win. And those are the type of people that make this network thrive and take a step each and every week. It's just they're amazing. They're amazingly talented, and they bring so much to what we do. And
well, they also
too bad this
follow the
organization can't just follow a simple fucking blueprint of let's bring in football people to make football decisions. We'll bring in financial people to make financial decisions. We can separate the two. You have your room over there. You have your room over there. You go do what you're good at. We'll go do what we're good at, and let's go win some fucking games.
I've learned over the years to take just about anything that Olin says with a grain of salt. And I look forward to hearing that story again and hope he includes it in his Hall of Fame induction speech.
I said, hey, oh, baby. Oh.
Oh my God.
Lucky he didn't get assaulted after something.
Listen, that to me, every year the Bears have not failed Cars, Phil, and Shayne for the last 30 some odd years. They've given us these end of year pressers where they've done something so insane that you can't think they could top off collaboration. You can't think. Even to the extent where we pointed out the 17 times they said it. They one up that. The mom's pissed with Ted Phillips. Do we have that fucking clip? Play that.
She agrees with the decisions that we've made. She's pissed off.
Fuck out of here, Ted.
That's the best part.
Interesting about that is, so all these years have transpired, right?
Yeah.
Since that press conference.
It's a lot of years.
We have lost way more than we've won since those.
Yes.
And at that press conference, he almost seemed more apologetic to the fans, right? Like, we have failed. I'm sorry.
Right.
Fast forward all these years, all these empty promises, no championships, no consistent playoffs. We don't draft Pro Bowlers anymore, right? We don't draft, let alone Hall of Famers. We don't do any of those. And you fast forward all these years, and what's the difference? Now he's basically flipping off the fans and everybody in the past.
And a future Hall of Famer in the sentence.
Yes.
Let me just take you into this for a second, because I never even thought about it till tonight, and we had Olin on last week. But for him to say, I've learned over the years that he's actually studied this shit, that he's saying Olin's a piece of shit liar. And Olin to his, and this is even more reason why I hope the Ryan guy takes over the minority ownership to majority ownership. Because George, I'm telling you right now, I hope you get this fucking right. I hope you do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're not going to pass on the
you
chance
are
to
the biggest
be the
motherfucking
owners.
pussy I've ever fucking seen. For you to do that gets me so fired up, even more so. To Cars's point, to Kenneth's point, You're the Chicago Bears. We've dove into this so many times now, but it needs to be said one last fucking time before they hire this. And I'm going to give every guy a chance. I'll analytically analyze what I know. But right now, all I know is you have a fucking dumbass Millhouse fuck who's a complete scumbag of the earth. He thinks he's so good that he continues to put his nose in everything, and top of what Cars is saying, on losing. And when he's confronted with it, I'm talking about Ted, he pushes it aside like it's not fact. So that kind of fucking arrogance, that fucking rich fucking arrogance that I have no tolerance, because I'm a people person. I love everybody. I don't give a shit where you're from, how much money you got, how are you a movie star or a fucking Instagram star? I don't give a fuck. Are you a good person? That's what I want to know. Ted Phillips is not a good person. Trotting him out there as the chairman and CEO, and now he's not. Biggest mistake ever. It's so fucking hard to cheer for you. But then George is getting arrogant, right? Cars, to your point. Now George isn't taking ownership. Now George is putting off. You're one, and what is he? Something against the Packers, George.
Oh, he's 4-21.
4-21 against your rival. Your mom is pissed off. Imagine how pissed off she should be now.
You know how I feel about stats.
Exactly. Those stats.
I'm just a fan. I'm not a football evaluator.
But I'm hiring the football people that are going to change this. This is Bill Polian's game. I hope Berlissimo's right. Soup Campbell steps up to the plate. I hope this fucking GM comes in there with a swagger and isn't a Ryan Pace crony. Yes, man, I live in Lake Forest and we can go out golfing and get our haircuts really nice.
Well, it's super important that the next person that we hire is like a Morocco Brown, that their history and their past is on the college side of everything. That's what I love about Morocco. I repeat this ad nauseum. You build and win through the draft. Ryan Pace, for most of his life, was a pro personnel guy.
Yep.
What did he do his best moves on? Pro side. What did he do his worst moves on? Mostly the draft, right? If you're going to do this right, you're going to, go get someone who's not going to put up with this shit. And B, you're going to get someone who's going to do, like, I'm sure everybody's heard the Morocco Brown story about, what's his name, Braden Smith, right? That he's sitting there going, that's our second round pick. And everyone's going, but he's a guard. We're set at guard. And he's the one arguing, no, that's a tackle. That is a right tackle. He's going to be our right tackle. And that's a guy that ends up going and just signs, a 5-year, $72 million contract extension. Yeah, those are the moves. That 2018 draft for them, the 2017 draft, the 2018 draft. When you go out and you add like 5 guys that are perennial Pro Bowlers, like we often talk about the Eddie Jackson, Tariq Cohen. That was done. Those guys aren't Pro Bowlers anymore. But if you could give me Pittman, Smith, Quentin Nelson, Darius Leonard.
Well, just look at Nelson and Leonard. Between the two of them have, and this is more important than Pro Bowl, they have 6 All-Pros.
Yes.
Between the two of them. 6.
Well, I will say this. Roquan Smith has gotten screwed over on a few.
I don't think he's as good as Darius Leonard.
I didn't think so when he was coming out of that draft. But
he has been screwed over. But like, if you want to do this right, there are no real shortcuts, right? If you want to be successful, you have to put the work in. You have to do things the right way. When you start taking shortcuts, you are betting on things. And every shortcut we've taken, the Khalil Mack trade, which I love, but it looks really bad. The Jay Cutler trade, all of these things that we have tried to cheat and jump and make these trades and sacrifice these picks and pay all this money.
To your point,
don't work.
To your point, where have they done? They've covered their asses in free agency. They missed on Shayne.
But
They
that's the pro
signed
personnel side,
Jimmy
like
Graham.
Cars is talking.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
talking to.
It's
Yeah,
all been on the pro.
you default to
personnel
what you're
side.
comfortable with.
You miss on Floyd, and then you go spend $60+ million a year on Mack and Quinn. And it's nothing against those guys. Those are really good football players. 10 times out of 10, if those guys can become available and you have a chance at them, you kind of make that move. But you have to have the underlying structure in place. So Morocco Brown comes in and he goes, hey, I want to triple my scouting department. We're going to start doing analytics. We're going to start doing this research, and we are going to build through the draft. I don't want a guy who's going to trade up every year because they have conviction. I need those draft picks. I need, when I trade up for a Kwiatkowski, that I make, when he's a free agent, I choose him over Danny Trevathan because I spent picks on him. I traded up to get him. He's just as good, and now I'm punting him for someone older that I'm signing in free agents. Like, those are the moves you can't do. You have to do this through the draft. If you look at every team out there that's in the playoffs, look at who their core key personnel are. Where were they added? Josh Allen, Singletary, that offensive line, Devin Knox.
We also have to add this to this is there's got to be some bad boys, and you got to have a coach that can handle that. And Matt Nagy couldn't handle a fucking water hose. That is the problem. So I agree with everything you're saying. Is this going to be the guy that's going to do it? I hope. We could talk scheme. I mean, I see people talk scheme, talk this. This is the most right now. The rumor out there about Justin Fields is just that. It is the dumbest fucking thing. Jeez. Bring whoever the fuck is saying that, Austin F, on the fucking show. I will bury him in about 14 seconds in his lame stupidity of trying to read a crowd to make a fucking noise. Do you really think you just drafted this kid with the 11th pick? Everybody and their brother was looking at this shit and not understanding how there wasn't a quarterback competition here, including the offensive coordinator on this fucking football team, Bill Lazor.
We never, I don't think we gave that moment enough credit. Where
I agree.
When Lazor was like, "No, man, he's looked like a starter from day one," and everyone was just like, "Moving on." Like, wait, hold on.
No, that you're 100% right. That's the most important thing. And the players that I've spoken to are like, "Bro, it's so fucking easy to see." Just like it was easy to see David Montgomery.
Trubisky versus Glennon. Everybody
Trubisky versus Glennon.
Yeah.
These things have to. A coach that preaches snaps, reps, and competition but doesn't have one at the most important position is a douche. That's what they are. They don't belong. There's no threat to you to open a competition when you're doing it the right way. It's called fairness. It's called performance over politics. Justin's going nowhere.
No,
that's the end of that. He'll be here. He's a huge sales point. It's like going in a house and having a beautiful kitchen. That's Justin Fields. He's the beautiful kitchen.
He's the fucking draw.
Yeah.
He's the draw.
Without him, listen,
oh my God.
I wanted to say this when Kenneth was talking, and he, like, all these Bears fans
we didn't get to it yet.
We can't sit down and complain that people out there have us as like the 6th best head coaching option or the 7th best. If you look at our history, there's a reason why that's there. The only reason we aren't last is Justin Fields. Make no mistake about it. The only reason people are remotely interested in this gig is because of that. Like, it's so crazy to sit down and look like we have all these years, all these time, and it's one guy that's going to make this a desirable position.
And the thing about it is what you got to look at too is not everybody is into the draft and breaking it down like we are here. So if you're trading Justin Fields, explain to me the quarterback that you're going to go get in this draft, because you're going to be very, very, very disappointed. And I'm not being a homer. I'm telling you, if Justin Fields was in this draft right now, he would be the number 1 pick by a fucking country mile.
A quarterback's not going number 1 because none of them. And remember, this is the most overpaid, over-important position in all of football. A quarterback could potentially not even go in the top 10 this year.
They will, but yeah, potentially you're right. They will. I mean, Jesus,
it gets crazy. Like
the kid from Liberty, obviously.
Christian Ponder was like the 12th pick overall, and at the time, you're like, holy shit, how did that happen?
That's true.
But unless you're trading for Deshaun Watson, right? Because that's what we keep hearing, that Flores desperately wants him, and unless that's the move. And even that's a bad move.
Kid from Pitt is a first-round quarterback.
I love the fact that they were saying, well, word on the street is that Brian Flores, before he takes a job, wants to go to a team with a big-time quarterback. Well, okay, no shit. Who doesn't want that?
Every coach in America wants to go to a team.
So do you want Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones, Trevor Lawrence, or David Carr, or Derek Carr, or Justin
Fields? Let me also say this about Justin Fields getting a bad rap. If you hadn't heard James Daniels' conversation with Mark Grody, you would be in for a treat. That's if you don't subscribe to our channel to show you the stupidity of Nagy. But when you question Justin Fields' toughness based on injury, let's remember this is a football coach that decides not to chip, had the worst game plan in the history of game plans that I've ever seen against the Cleveland Browns.
No one comes close.
There's never been, I wanted to drive to Halas Hall.
On top of it,
go back and watch the episode that Cleveland Browns Keepin It 100 week. Just remember, I went back and watched it, and I didn't remember how fired up I was, and all of us really. And I was just almost in tears that this is the situation. Fire this fucking clown tomorrow. He's so stupid. So, yeah, quarterbacks getting hit from the blind side, rotation of tackles, a tackle playing fucking slot receiver. We can go into it, and most of you don't want to. But when you're looking at this fucking blog boy writing these reports, or someone in the chat saying he's too injured, he can't win, I don't know. He's working with incompetence.
He's trying to make things happen because
out of nothing.
Are so, like that great touchdown run against San Francisco, right? Like when you're sitting there going, if he doesn't do that, we're kicking a field goal, hands down.
Exactly. How about this?
Rob doesn't block, right? Come on.
The one game where Bill Lazor calls the plays, all of them, because Matt's fucking sick. Watch Justin Fields play in that game. Then tell me what you think. It's a reality. That's why I said that, and it's not a shot at Cars. I'm just saying, when the play is on, the actors are more important than the director at that point. The director is going to be important, have its place, but the actors got to act. The coach has got to get the plan together. That's what makes Belichick, and everybody else what they are. And we see who the coaches are. I'll be excited to see how they come about. If it's Leslie Frazier, I'm going to be disappointed. I'm just keeping it 100.
Me too.
I just think the recycling of coaching is not what this franchise needs right now.
You could probably build a case he didn't get a completely fair shake in Minnesota, but to me, that is not what this franchise needs right now.
Who are you going to pair him with? Justin Fields,
right? That's what I'm saying.
And look, I'm sorry, but we talk about a rich history of defense, right? And how and all of that. We've won one fucking Super Bowl. We've scored. I did this, and because I'm a glutton for punishment over the last decade, our scoring is 20 points a game. since the 2000s, our scoring is 20 points a game, and we've only done that 11 seasons. Some blow that out. Like, we need a modern offense that is going to score. And I'm not trying to take away that you need to play good defense, but this day and age, what a good defense in the NFL is an aggressive, turnover-based defense that has playmakers that is going to make things happen. For once in our lives, we need to actually be like, hey, maybe we're going to give up 24 points. But if the other team scores over 20 points, I don't want to chalk that up as a loss midway through the third quarter.
Exactly.
I totally agree.
You have to do this. And so, yeah, Caldwell's great. He's 67. He's
and that matters. It matters, man.
It matters.
But hey, looking in the chat, and I think that this is important because we do like to be interactive here. And
yes,
the pants.
Did Jackal do his job?
But
this week,
I don't know if he did or not.
I hope so.
He can bring that up. But just from us three right here, let's go around. Like I'll kick it off. I was intrigued by Dodds, but obviously I have no friggin' mole in the conference room,
the building.
To hear what's going on. And it sounds like he blew his interview, but to me, like if I were to say my top two who I'm most intrigued by, the stuff with Rick Smith bothers me about when there's any questions out there. If you're all in that, to me, that's a huge
it's totally
deal
fair.
Because you can't, like I said to Kenneth, you can't be 92% into this job. And I mean, you're removing yourself from your family, from your children, from your wife, from everything, because you're putting in 18, 20-hour days. Some nights you're not even home because you're sleeping in the office, and you have to want that grind. It fuels you to the next day. It's your coffee. That drives you. But to me, the two guys right now that are the most intriguing to me as the GM prospects are Shayne and Morocco Brown. That would be the most intriguing to me. I don't know much about Ran Carthon, and I'm not going to lie to you and say that I do. I don't.
Austin Fort is the only other name that has me interested, and that's just because of the depth of that Tennessee team.
Right, and the Bears blog again put that out there, and he's obviously got most likely Ted Phillips, but we won't get into that. Who's feeding him the info, but supposedly he piqued their interest in a big way as a general manager in his interview.
What do those three guys have in common?
Yeah,
they are heavy scout. They started off as national collegiate scouts and have worked their way up. The lifeblood of every NFL team is the draft. So those.
Right. And this is Michael Cantanzaro. But
Glenn Cook, didn't he?
He's another guy that has impressed them. Yeah, but Omar Khan is a name. The thing, to Carr's point, is I want the leader to be based in football. Khan is more of an executive type financial guy. So that would be a guy to me that you replace Ted Phillips with, but it's not calling shots on fucking draft day and stuff like that. But you have to I think I know where you're going with this, Cars. You have to revamp your entire front office. It's got to be your financial executive guy, and then you have to have the biggest scouting department, the biggest analytics department. I mean, you have to have a super impressive set of hands and eyes underneath you that are all, to your point, I think we're where you're going, that are completely scout driven, scout based.
Absolutely. I did a tweet about it to compare like the front offices and those positions of the Steelers, who are really the gold standard, right, for everything, and us. Like, they've got Blesto and other analytics based scouts. They've got I think it's something like 9 or 10 different area scouts, where we've got 3 or 4 on the collegiate. Like, and I know I always talk about it, Cincinnati, they tripled the size of it. If you want to draft well, it's really simple. You increase the amount of scouts that you have. You take input from all of those scouts, and you don't just willy-nilly go make a decision without, talking to them and your coaching staff.
Ed Dodd's one of the most smartest football people in the world. Like, who's throwing that stat out there, Jason?
Yeah, but even then, I have another rant on that, and I'll leave that be. But Ed Dodds has done this at every job so far, every opportunity. It's not just a Bears thing. Everybody says he really just wants
three years in a row.
But you can't throw that Ed Dodds is the most football intelligent person in the world, and he doesn't want a part of it. I
don't think he wants the role. I don't think he really wants to be a GM. It sounds
if you want to be a GM, you want to be a GM. You don't pull out, Claudio, unless you don't want to have any more kids. That's the only time you pull out. Unless you know something that you're not going to be treated fairly or it didn't feel right for you. Then you make the announcement that you're pulling out. But to your point, which I think is very valid, to have the sensory, the heartbeat of your program through the eyes of building a draft from someone who lives, breathes, and dies college football.
And welcomes conflict.
And welcome that. Exactly. You have to put more out there just to get those other eyes and opinions on something. I would even put someone in the building that I don't particularly like the way they look at football, just to see where they see things, just in case, and then history is going to tell me, well, so-and-so, who I don't like the way he sees it, but I respect him. Let me make it very clear. We don't agree on some of these players, but I respect his opinion. Now I have a history of knowing, okay, he was right about this guy. He was right about that guy. I was right here. And now
I was wrong. Hey,
I was wrong.
It would be nice.
Wrong there. That's going to benefit you.
None of this is a perfect science. Every general manager has massive misses along the way. And
John Schneider is beloved, and he lives off of 2 drafts 7 or 8 years ago, right?
Speaking of drafts, Cars, this year we'll be back with our patron side, the tapeneverlies.com. It's right there on the bottom. There's close to 700 of you right here. We'll be starting back up, getting you ready for the draft. Who's going to be the GM?
Real quick, Phil, this is Jeff
now,
is lit.
with the 43rd pick.
No,
it's not the same McCaskey. The question's been in here 8,000 times.
Not
all over Twitter. McCaskey. People are melting down. It's not.
There is a McCaskey.
One person for that Twitter meltdown.
Yeah,
there is a McCaskey, and they are in the patron side. I found that out, so that's a good thing. Maybe they'll watch
Marcus
this
Robinson
show.
Just became a patron.
Yes, Marcus Robinson, former Bear.
Now with the 43rd pick.
His hips are square as well.
Eyes are right on the target.
Eyes are on the target. Watch his hand come up, takes the outside shoulder, then puts the inside hand on. His post leg is in the right position. He's got control of his guy. He's going nowhere. You can see Javon Holland there. He's obviously got more swag because he has 3 on his arm, whereas Thomas Graham only has 2. So you can. That's the way we do analysis.
So fucking. These blog boys are so fucking dumb. To have a confident cornerback that understands coverages and responsibilities.
Forget about it.
I did say to Kate, I'm like, Caden, you didn't even get Shayne talking in this. He's got to do a better job. He's on the case, Shayne. But Draft Mob will be back on our Patreon side right there. Shayne Marsaw with his sunglasses on, my consigliere, and the British.
Remember we got laughed at for Draft Mob. Remember?
Oh yeah, did we?
Dude almost fell off his solar panels.
Come on. Well, those kind of conspiracies of Muggs Halas and the McCaskies could get you thrown off some.
I would play
roofs.
that, but I don't want to get dinged, and I'll be busy removing the audio from Kenneth Davis's intro. But we know how that goes.
Oh, that's gonna be fine.
You fuck yourself. I stand by that. Universally, I stand by.
We got new drops here by Cars.
I said, hey, oh, baby, bring that fat ass over here.
Get in somebody's ass today.
There you go. We're gonna get into somebody's ass today. It's been mostly management. Are they gonna get this right? Are they going to do it? I hope you become a patron and join others for the analysis and all of the pop-up shows. Obviously, you're going to be wondering where we are. We're going to be live when they announce the new GM on the patron side.
But I'm
some special guests. Did you know your boy was taking some shots at you, Cars, this past weekend on X's with the O's? BEK was taking a couple shots at you. Eric Kramer jumped on, was breaking down Justin Fields, saying Cars was a big no-show.
Yeah, good. Call me out. I totally deserve it. If we could go back to the GM, like I'm totally concerned that we aren't anywhere near done with the first round. Like, especially since we know that Polian has been here for a while and we're adding to this list. Like, I understand that there's time. There's 3 openings and there's time, right?
Well,
but like
Ryan Cox just sent us a text, and Greg Gabriel is reporting there's 8 head coach openings in the NFL, and he just got word that he's expecting more.
That was me, but thanks for giving Ryan Cox credit.
I'm not going to give you credit. That was you?
I mean, like these things. When you know that this is coming and you're completely not prepared, like you're not prepared for this moment, you're not prepared for the interviews. I guess it shouldn't shock me that this feels like, an interview is being done by a preschool, right? Like preschool kids doing it. Like we should be further along. We should know some guys. We should
paralysis by analysis.
Yeah, like I don't know how many of you have ever been in an interviewing process, but like if you've got 5 people that you're part of your interview process and you have 10 names or you have 15 names, if it takes you 3 weeks to get to the end of that or 2 weeks, you're not going to remember the first guy that walked in the room or the second guy that walked in the room. You're going to have all this recency bias.
I'm just a fan. I'm not a football evaluator.
It really, again, it doesn't shock me because it just seems poor planning, but we should be closer to a guy at the end of this week. And it doesn't feel like we're going to be through round 1 of interviews. It's really weird.
No love for Jeff Ireland.
No, not for me.
Laz is wanting to know.
Breaking news. The Tate Never Lies Network. Breaking news.
You're trying to do, you fuck. I see you. You think I can't see what you're trying to do?
I didn't think you were paying attention.
What's the breaking news? The breaking news.
Mike McCarthy, Claudio, apparently is getting fired.
Yes,
by the Dallas Cowboys.
That
was your job.
Jackal, where are you, Jackal?
You can't go a full night without Claudio. Are you?
Actually, I was gonna jump in because let's just play a real quick game. Don't emphasize. Don't talk about the guys. Real quick, go around the table.
Real quick. This is the game called Real Quick.
There you go.
Claudio.
I'm not involved.
He's producing.
Just you three, because you guys are not fans. You're football. You know about football. So your GM and head coach. Now, before there's any decision, who are you guys going with? Who do you think is going to be picked? Not who you want.
Do we think, or who do
you
we
think
want?
the Bears are going to take?
So I'm Morocco Brown and Eberflus are the two that I think that are going to happen.
I think it's going to be Morocco Brown and Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles.
Do you want me to go doom and gloom and
no
kick everybody in the nuts and say just
No, we're very economical, my family.
I
doom and gloom. Just
what is this man?
That's how you really feel. Say it.
Yeah. I think that there's, I don't know. I think that they like Flores. I that is what my gut is telling me, but I think they're scared of, I'm not sure of what his plan is offensively. So that puts him back, but I honestly don't fucking know. I really don't. I don't know.
That's going to be my answer. That's
your answer. Bullshit.
Yeah, it is
Cherie
bullshit.
is writing this down. Shayne doesn't know. Cherie.
So yeah, real quick, dog. I'm not trying to get out of this, but did McCarthy really get fired?
No, it would make sense.
It will make sense. It could happen. If
Riley's fifth grade teacher is a Dallas fan. He just texted me. He's like, I'm not finding this anywhere. I'm like, I'm not either.
Real quick. This is Claudio segment.
Real quick. That season ended in that play call and all of it. Absolutely.
Oh my God.
The ironic part is I would love it though if they fired him and promoted Kellen Moore. That would internally make me so very happy. Get in somebody's ass today.
Don't you remember the Kellen Moore love? Rhino Braggs at one point was,
God. Kellen Moore
doing bad things to himself, thinking about Kellen Moore as head coach. But that's the thing. People
can't lead a team.
People think if Brian Daboll comes here that you're going to automatically have the Buffalo Bills offense.
Oh my God!
As you talk about,
we have to talk about Brian.
Is Stephon Diggs coming? You know what I mean? It's
Brian
there's
Daboll,
so much more to it.
That stupidity. And listen, I'm just keeping it 100 with you. If you were one of those people, don't take offense to this, but to watch a offense perform, and then immediately come out of that and say, that's it. He's the guy. He's the one. Look what he's doing. This is about players using players. That's it. What Shayne is saying. Josh Allen, what's the kid? Dawson, is that his name? Dawson Knox, the tight end.
Dawson Knox.
Yeah.
There's so much talent. Even the kid, the speed.
Singletary, Diggs.
What's the other receiver on the
Davis.
Reverse? They got Davis.
Oh,
but he's the other.
McKenzie.
That kid is just
even
flying.
Davis has 5-6 touchdowns this year.
Oh my God, they got so much talent offensively.
Look at
that's where you look at things.
Didn't Daboll get fired by 3 different teams?
Listen, his coaching experience is good. It's a check in the box for me.
Listen,
but to come to me and say, now Daboll's our guy after watching that playoff game.
Then go watch the Tampa Bay game again, where he gave the running backs 1 carry, and it was with a minute left in the first half. And he learned his lesson. No, they got 4 or 5 carries before halftime the next week.
If you want to see Phil have an aneurysm live on air, hire Brian Daboll as your offensive or as your head coach.
Because if Daboll forgets David, then that's the same shit. Don't hire guys that are calling great plays with great. Just see the man. Who is the man? And that's the one thing we don't get to do. But I don't know. I could tell Kellen Moore isn't a head coach right now. Maybe down the road he'll be. He ain't ready. Daboll, I don't know. I wouldn't hire Daboll. He's not on my list.
And I don't like the comparisons to Fields and Allen because Allen is kind of a monster. He's the evolution.
He's a Roethlisberger. He's
he's an evolution.
Fields is not.
Justin, I think,
way more athletic.
Is going to be a better passer and a better, more accurate passer. Allen still struggles sometimes with some of those touch passes, but that's not a guy that's going to go that you really want to go hey, we're just going to give you 18 carries this game, and that's what we're going to do, because that's not going to work. So we can't just be like, well, Fields is kind of like, he's mobile like Josh Allen, and he's got a good arm. It's going to be the same thing. No. Hard no.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's
Yeah,
not how this
and
works.
this is something that I don't know. I mean, I know Dayball was in Alabama for 1 year and was a gigantic meathead. I've talked about it on here, and I don't know about him as the leader, because Phil, you've said it 1,000 times. There's a lot more to being a head coach than calling plays. We've seen that. You need a fucking guy that's the appeal. And I know somebody put in there that Flores doesn't even have a top 10 defense in Miami. There's more to that. I think they have a lot of good players here on defense in Chicago. It's just one of those things, man. You got to hiring Brian Daboll doesn't mean that you're getting the Buffalo offense here at all, ever. That's what the Bears thought when they brought in Matt Nagy. Oh, he's going to make Mitch the next Mahomes. We're going to have that offense here. And when the Bears went out in game 1 against Green Bay, they went right down that very first series and scored, and the champagne bottles were popping in Chicago. Yeah. Yeah, that was the fucking mountaintop.
Yes.
That first drive right there. But you need
Dayball, to me, it depends on the leader. To Shayne's point, research,
and we have no idea.
He's a meatball. If that's the case, his history of where he's coached, to me, is a good check in the box for me.
He was
his
an
offensive play calling and the performance of that everyone is now, oh my God, slow your roll, tap the brakes on that bullshit. That's not how we hire coaches. Who is this man? What's his pedigree? Is he able to switch gears if shit ain't working? Are you able to adapt? Are you able to do
That's
these
overwhelmingly been no, by the way.
What about Doug?
Plan
what about
again.
Doug Peterson?
No,
Doug Peterson. I think you
Doug
guys touched on
Peterson
him.
is a no
He's
from
been
me.
interviewed. Okay.
Jackal will do meth live on air if we hire Doug Peterson.
And
He's
for
already
me, the
texted
biggest
me.
reason for that is since almost day 1 in Philly, there were unhappy people in the locker room. Like that locker room and its decline and how quickly all of that happens. So much of that looks to go back on Peterson.
Hey.
Absolutely not.
What?
Exactly. I want to just address now the locker room of, and I'm sorry, I'm going back, but I think it's important because we said it on the show. When Nagy's gone, we'll find out the fucking real truth. We were telling you that.
We already have.
Maybe he'll
There's
come
been
on.
a lot of
Maybe he'll
reports
come on the
coming out.
show.
Everybody hated the locker room. Nagy was a bitch. He threw Mitch under the bus. Didn't show up. This is the stuff that's going on in the Chicago Bears organization. That's the envy. This is the opposite of what the blog boys were fucking telling you.
Cliff, this is the point. If Buffalo goes out and beat Kansas City, that to me doesn't mean.
What does that mean?
Yeah,
it doesn't mean
Nagy
anything.
won with the Chiefs. I mean,
Do we hire Bill Lazor if he goes out and beats the Chiefs this week?
But
It's
if that's a good game plan, that's fine. But to the point of
there's more
like
to it
Tampa
than that.
Bay, he didn't run the ball. It was a close game. He didn't do anything. In the second half, he made no adjustments. They didn't get better. They didn't do these things. You circle back in press conferences, their head coach is like, we didn't run the ball enough. We didn't do this. We didn't do that. What happened the next week? He didn't run the ball again in the first half.
Right.
Like, it's not even just
game anyway.
the half. Like, you've got to be able to move and adjust. The really good ones, the people who can play call the right way, adjust. It's why I love Josh McDaniels. He will adjust game to game, week to week, and go. Daboll hasn't shown that. Maybe he would do it, but he hasn't shown that. Going out and blowing KC out, fine, great. But it doesn't mean that all of a sudden he's gotten it figured out. Freddie Kitchens in Cleveland looked really good for a short while. Guess what?
Right.
It went down the shitter. So
Facebook user, we'll address this when you learn how to go to StreamYard. And
Go to
accept the terms.
StreamYard so we know who that is, so we can address you. Facebook
You don't know how to do
user.
that? Laugh my ass off.
StreamYard.com/Facebook. Nagy didn't win shit with the Chiefs. What the fuck are you guys talking about? That's what we're talking about. He sucked with the Chiefs. That was a terrible hire. And that's what we're saying. Let's look at the reality. Am I going to be pissed off about if Daboll becomes the head coach? If he's followed, these are the things that we have to understand. I don't think Daboll is the guy, in my opinion.
I have looked at Daboll's history and quarterback development, so that there's legitimate reasoning out there that the number one developer of the talent at quarterback in Buffalo is not the offensive coordinator. He's a part of it. Ken Dorsey's been an enormous part of it, and that's been documented. So we don't deal in just making stuff up along the way.
We never will make shit up.
Yeah,
ever.
and saying that we just I don't like this guy because he's on this team. It's not that. We want what is best for the Chicago Bears. I don't believe in Brian Daboll, the leader. If you want to tell me that he's coming here as an offensive coordinator, fuck, I'll talk about that. I still, to Carr's point, I don't think he's going to be what we want. It's working in Buffalo for him, but there's a lot of questions.
Allen has grown to insane
big time
levels. Who, like you look at Devin Singletary, I think he has like 170 carries on the year. Josh Allen has 122. Like that's not something that's sustainable for most teams over a year. You can do that when you're Josh Allen and you're built like a fucking tree trunk as a quarterback, right? Like, and for some of these guys, look, I don't know necessarily if they're going to be the right guy. Unless it's Leslie Frazier or Doug Peterson, I'm going to be okay with a lot of these guys. There's some names that I'll be way more excited about, but Daboll's not some quarterback whisperer. Those things also don't exist, by the way, but he's not that. Like, you just got to get a guy who can lead a team, who knows how to make changes, who knows how to ask the right questions, to challenge himself day in, day out about his preconceived notions about what the offense and defense should look like or whatever it is. That's all that matters. And so most of these guys, I'll take a shot, but unless it's Frazier or Peterson.
The first thing is the guy a leader of men? Because a bunch of you guys in the chat and fans, it's not talking down to you. You have to educate yourself in knowing philosophically a coach can be a defensive coach, right? You'd say Ron Rivera is a defensive coach. Lovie Smith was if they don't know the entirety of what offenses are working against your defense, then you're not a real head coach candidate. You have to understand how to be a teacher, what your basis is, how you're going to use your offense, and does your offense work philosophically with the personnel that you're trying to do? Can you course correct and do the things that your personnel that you have or the GM has? You can't just say, for example, this is a 4-year plan to get. No, you look at the talent. This is what a real coach does. He looks at the talent on the roster and he identifies what is going to be our identity. How are we going to win every game possible? Well, it's David Montgomery. That would be the real coach, recognizing now everything will work off of that, and the young and have a quarterback competition. Daboll, all of these names, Kellen Moore, all of these guys could be great play callers. Bieniemy, are they leaders of men? Are they going to set the tone? Are they going to understand that tackling, blocking are the most important things first and foremost? Those are the things that the Chicago Bears need to address before you get dressed up with these salad dressings of, oh, there's so many. Daboll's done this. He could do this. He could do that. No, I want to know. Like, I don't know. Byron Leftwich, I see people asking about him. He might be a great head coach, former quarterback, tough as fucking hell. Everybody remembers him getting
the snap He had his line. He got injured in a game, and his linemen were literally
carried him.
I was saying everybody remembers the game where they're carrying him with
Marshall, right?
He might be the guy. I don't know, because he's got Tom Brady there. There's going to be a bias against him. So how do we handle that interview? That is an important thing, because he essentially is my Harbaugh from back in the day, Cars, because he might be that maniacal, this is my job, but he hasn't done it before. I don't know. But the fact that he has that.
Like Mike Tomlin was 1 year as a defensive coordinator and like 4 years as a defensive back coach before he became the Steelers guy, right? Like Sean McVay had a very short time in some of these things. Like most of the super hot coordinator guys don't work. They don't work. We've seen it here at Wanstead. We've seen it with Nagy, right? Like we've seen these moves. There is no like cookie cutter way. So yeah, I'm with you. Like, why is it that all of a sudden Dayball's been in here 20 years in the NFL or 15 years in the NFL? Why is this just clicking now? Why is this happening now? Why is this the first offense that he's ever had go top 10? What is the reasoning for that? You never know. And so sometimes like Leftwich is intriguing because he'll be able to relate to guys. He'll be able to do things. The reports are that he plays to the strengths of his guys and he's got input. Maybe that's the home run swing that you go try.
That could be the guy. I am not out of the Byron Leftwich
not at all.
Of those boxes.
Yeah, you can't listen. I think as a whole, I am scared that there is. It sounds like the final guy that's going to be coming in to interview is Frazier, correct?
Yes.
Is he?
Yeah, and it's
Frazier or Bowles.
So let me just catch people up. The coaches that have been interviewed rather, are Doug Peterson was the first one. Then Brian Flores, who I want to talk about still, Jim Caldwell, and Nathaniel Hackett on Saturday. They both interviewed. Brian Dayball on Sunday. Matt Eberflus was Monday.
And he's the only one confirmed second interview.
Yes, he's the only confirmed, or his agent might have leaked that out there. The Bears might be
and that's
off. We don't know.
A couple of these guys may know that, and it just hasn't leaked out. Like I said, the Bears,
for me,
are going to let you know what they want you to know.
I know we got to do a quick read here, Shane, because I don't know who you're betting on, Claudio, but BetUS, our sponsor here, TTNL's Keeping It 100. Life is back on, and sports bettors and BetUS, let me tell you, they have you covered with your NBA, NHL, UFC, PGA, and yes, the NFL playoffs. Betting lines are open for their 27th year in live betting on all of it. Log into betus.com, or you can even call the number 1-800-792-3887. That's 1-800-79-BET-US. BetUS for 125% bonus. You can put in the code ShyCity125. That's 125% bonus. That's ShyCity125. So you're getting whatever you put in plus 125% more. Customer service pros are ready to get you on your phone call. You can go on social and online sports betting. Kickoff starts now. Play with the proven mainstay in the industry. BetUS. You bet, you win, you get paid. It's betus.com. I want to bet a little money here on Flores, because obviously being the box checking of Bill Parcells, that for me is a box, because he ain't putting any promoting of any coach. Sean Payton, Bill Belichick. Let's go through his list of coaches that he's put out there.
Bill Parcells was, when that was brought up, that was with Joe Shayne, the GM candidate.
Brian Flores is also
Bill
Parcells has come out and said.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, he came out and said it. Yeah, he likes him a lot. Let me just say this. From his upbringing in Brooklyn, New York, and the story behind Brian Flores is one that does exactly what I would like. Make the McCaskies uncomfortable. Make this change real, where somebody's going to be a real talk, put football first, and he has the personality. We talked about it last week with Olin. When that report came out, as Cars pointed out, was from a friend of the GM. He's an insider there. The GM obviously didn't get along with Flores. I loved the story because that's what I want in my head coach. Someone who's going to fire back, put football first and winning first, have a level of discipline. And listen, I talked to one of his former players or player there that has played for him this week. He's like, bro, he's played for a few head coaches. One of them, Nagy, night and day, discipline, fundamentals, and integrity. He treats players like men. That's
and he's not
boxes.
Afraid if there's an issue with the fucking GM or even with ownership. That's the part that is an attractive option to me, that he's not just going to sit back and be like, I'm going to stay out of that. If there's a head coach and he truly believes in something, he's going to defend it, and he's going to go to the GM and voice his opinion in a loud way. That's fucking healthy. That's exactly what we haven't had here in Chicago in a long, long time. It's all about collaboration, and then it was synergy, and then it's on the same page and all of this shit. No, I want my GM to be pounding the fucking table for a guy, and Brian Flores comes in and I don't fucking see it that way.
Yeah,
I don't believe in this fucking guy. You know, that is how you improve your fucking franchise. Like, I know Cap came out and said, well, he didn't have a good relationship with his GM or the owner. Well, maybe draft the fucking quarterback you wanted in Justin Herbert.
I don't care if he was a dick to his staff. I honestly know that people on my staff probably said I was a dick to them. But at the end of the day, when you're holding up a fucking trophy, right? I'm sorry, what?
People on this staff say that too.
This might be the quote of the night, though. I mean,
the white
dick.
White dick.
Especially from an African American male.
Yeah, black. I don't think he's going to say.
We're definitely going to have to get that checked out, Adam. I mean, we may have
get that checked. We got to get that fact checked.
Yeah, we may have.
Where's Eric Lambert?
Oh,
fact check that.
Up next on Sports Mockery.
I heard he was the. No, I want that fire. I want people to not like the coach and then end up loving him. So Lawrence Taylor talks about.
Boy, hey, this actually could be breaking news from Barrelissimo right here. This looks like it's on the Giants homepage.
Breaking news. The tape never lies. Network breaking news.
Actually, I don't think it is breaking news. I'm looking at the
breaking news. Aaron Rodgers a dude.
Yeah, I'm looking at the date on ESPN.
We got
New
played,
York Giants page in their transaction page. It says January 7th, 2022. New York Giants have named Joe Shayne general manager. So I mean the dates, and you just sent me a screenshot of that. But yeah.
Hey, cut it out.
Definitely no cut it out for a long time. Yeah, cut it out.
Cut it out, Barrelissimo. What are you doing?
So good, we cut
Adam just checked.
Get in somebody's ass today.
Adam just checked the pictures, and the member doesn't. The member color doesn't match.
Please never say the member.
The member.
Adam just said, "Let's get in somebody's ass." The way
Did you hear Potash at Flores as the head coach? Yeah, real quick, we have to address this rumor, Coach Flores. Adam Westby.
The good news is if Flores is the coach, we don't have to worry about Potash asking, are you going to be a nice guy or are you going to be yelling at everybody like a Kirk Ferentz type? I think that question will get answered pretty quick.
Oh, my God. That whole thing, we got to get Grody on here to talk about James Daniels Potash. That was crazy. I'm trying to get Potash on the show. Can some fans step up for us here?
We'll pay for a month of his AOL dial-up.
Yes. Imagine Potsy on the show with us talking about the old regime and all of it. I'm sure would be the best episode ever because he would cut loose.
If he did it from his office, like he did the press conference last year with
bowling alley TV.
I would be out of my mind happy with that. Absolutely.
Listen, I love this show because we speak in truth. We give real truth, even if we all disagree. We fight for our truths and our opinions, but we also bring a level of humor and compassion to the table each and every week. This week, there is no compassion. I have no compassion for the Chicago Bears. I don't. I just pray that Gary Williams is right, that there's going to be hope. Because right now, I like some of the names that are on display. But to me, if it's not Harbaugh, because I will die on that sword until he says he's not there, I know that Jim would fix this. And I can give a shit if you're trying to tell me otherwise. I have 500 reasons to show you why. And they all start with 44-19 in the NFL.
Nope.
And turning around a program in the NFL. Winning with Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick in the NFL. Going to the Super Bowl in the NFL. Turning around the Big Ten. This guy does it everywhere he goes. Unlike this guy, which we have to address, Cars.
Please.
Adam Westby just sent me some video of a Brian Flores press conference.
Newest invention here is called the Cobb Quickie. Hey,
I guess maybe that's where he got that rumor started, but
I got to address Kyle Brandt. Like, if you're a Bears fan, don't share that you're a Bears fan and sell out by wearing other people's and other gear. I don't care if you're fucking Kay Adams ass or anybody. I just think it's embarrassing. I think it's embarrassing. See this?
Oh, look at Cars.
That's exactly how you don't roll. You can't go out there in public and say you're something and then completely jump a bandwagon. It's just completely fraudulent on every level. I don't care if you work for the NFL. You've already established that you're a Bears fan.
Yeah.
You will never see me. I don't
some
care
people
if
are saying that he called the Bills going to the Super Bowl.
I don't care if you called the Bills going to the Super Bowl. I called the
I'm just putting it out there. I'm just saying.
I called the Tampa Bay Bucks were going to the Super Bowl. Am I fucking wearing a Tom Brady shirt? No. So this kind of negligence and excuse giving that you give this fucking guy, he's the same guy who talked down to you Bears fans saying, what about Nagy now? What about Nagy now? You want us to play that clip again, Caden? Wherever Caden is tonight? It's ridiculous. I hope you get some balls, Brant, and come on the show and kick it with us. We have common friends in the business. I think you can step up if you can wear a Bills fucking jersey. I think you can step up and come on the show and address that. And any person that works in the fucking industry that says he's a Bear. Is Adam Rank going to go wear a fucking Green Bay Packers shirt? No. Kay Adams is already leaving Good Morning Football. She could take it with her Bengals fucking shirt on and Carr's Bengals hat. I would love to get her on the show and question her too. I don't understand that. No one could ever make me understand that, in fact. Like, only way I wear somebody else's gear is if I'm coaching for that team. That's it. Never Never.
That's
Never
when you wear
would
the
I do
Bears gear underneath. So it's
like Jim McMahon.
Yeah.
There's a level of integrity that I think if you consider yourself a Bears fan, and we talked about it here, we've been neglected and abused, but we're still pulling for the Chicago Bears.
Oh, didn't you tell the Pop Warner League that you wouldn't coach unless you had the Bears?
Yes, I told them. They gave me the Steelers the first year because I just walked up. I'm like,
are you
my
serious,
wife
dude?
is like, my wife's like, you gonna bring him up to the football? I go, all right, I get to watch my sons play. Well, the guys are standing there with a whistle when I come up. Welcome, coach. I go, I'm not coaching. Yeah, we need you, coach. So now I'm coaching the Steelers.
I didn't even think of this with Bear
Yes.
Truth. He's got a good point. We do have to do our homework. So we didn't realize that. Good call, Bear Truth. Thanks.
We'll do our homework. Listen,
Didn't even know
wear
that.
your Bears gear like Funkster Jones, Claudio.
Funkster is the man.
Funkster can get in a
Coolest
split.
man on planet
You
Earth.
can get into a Von Dom split cars. Can you do
Facebook
that?
loves this dude.
Dude, he's the man.
He's always getting.
I'm like, wait a minute. We were friends. They're like, oh,
Funkster.
it's a new account.
We got to get
I don't know
Funkster
about
on.
stats. Really, stats are for losers.
We did
Right
get
here.
Funkster on.
There he
once.
is. Look at him.
There
The
he
monk,
is.
or whatever. I don't even know what
He
that
looks
is,
like one of Cars' favorite characters in Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
Finish him.
Finish him, Cars.
The dude's a real deal. He knows martial arts. He's a real
Listen,
deal.
I love my guy Funkster Jones, and he's a huge supporter of us. Now, Cars, gun to your head. Gun to your head. Who's the GM of the Chicago Bears?
You're on the air, baby.
Morocco Brown.
Morocco Brown. Claudio, do you have a horse?
I've already
in this
said I
race?
don't know too much about any of those guys, but I mean Morocco Brown does seem like a good fit, so we'll go with Morocco Brown. I was going to ask you guys though, the GM is going to be picked first, right?
We hope.
Yes. So you're saying you want a coach that's going to also challenge a GM. Will Morocco Brown be that GM that would hire a coach that will challenge?
I think he would be. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because that's the Ballard way, and the way that front office is all set up is they encourage that sort of thing. That's
One of the interesting things that JJ brought up, and it just shows you the difference in thinking just away from football, is they brought in India Green Beret to add to their front office staff, and he's developed a test that shows it's got like a 90% hit rate of the guys that are going to make it through and not give up and give, 110% effort day in and day out. And that's what they've stamped. That's the Colt way. And I said, those are the kind of outside of the box thinking. It doesn't mean that this dude is going to be perfect at all times. But I mean, if you, to Cars brought it up, you look back at their drafts, and that is the fucking meat and potatoes of this roster. Yeah, the Carson Wentz thing is awful. And that's going to be something that when you talk to Morocco Brown, when you talk to Dodds, when you had him in here, that's a part of the process. What was the thought process and you guys coming to a consensus that the best move that you could make was Carson Wentz? That's a big deal. That's something that you have to talk about. Ultimately, it's going to fall at Chris Ballard's feet.
Ballard. Yeah, exactly.
But they're still part of the process, man.
Right. You got to ask them.
If you interview Sadowski, you're gonna go back to Mitch.
Yep.
Is Mark Sadowski on? Didn't he get?
But I don't think Sadowski. No, Sadowski did interview. I thought.
Yeah, I think they interviewed.
He's not on the list.
Yeah, I don't think they even announced it. I think
Champ Kelly interviewed on their list, but they didn't announce Sadowski. Couple questions from. I thought Jackal was gonna have a fucking segment tonight, but continues,
Yeah, he's shitting.
not do
Guy
shit.
was not feeling good.
He was supposed to grab all of these questions, apparently.
Yep. He sent me
why
this.
are we so bad?
He did send me this.
Oh, this is cool.
Why are we so down on Leslie Frazier? Well, you'll have to go back and watch that part of the show where Cars talks about Leslie Frazier.
He just has no offensive ties, right? Like
right
in Minnesota and when he was at Tampa and at Buffalo, right, is where the only place where he potentially does. But Ken Dorsey isn't going to be the guy. He's got no tie-ins. Yes, they have tremendous success right now, but he's had a lot of mediocre defenses to go on top of it.
Nobody talk about potential candidates because nobody knows.
Well, podcast is over.
Let's not have a show anymore.
End the
Cliff just
broadcast
ended the
now.
show for everybody.
All right,
Sorry,
Steven
everybody.
Johnson.
Steven Johnson. Yeah.
We'll see you when the Bears announce something. Jesus,
We're
he's
trying.
gonna hate our draft coverage for fucking 3 months before the draft.
How are they going to know if they're going to be in the NFL if they've not played in the NFL? Well, that's how you do analyze. You
Looking
analyze.
through the guy's name. How about Monty Ossenford? Did you guys talk about him yet?
I briefly
Tennessee
did.
Titans director player of personnel.
Interesting guy, this guy, because of his history and the makeup of their roster. Think about what they've done and how they've
They
done
lost
it
their
there.
fullback and
They got a Super Bowl team.
I mean, literally, they lost the best player,
Yeah.
and they're still the number one
That's
seed
it, yeah.
in the AFC. And if you look at that defense is pretty much strictly through the draft. Like they have loaded up there. You know, they don't get enough credit for the AJ Brown pick. That's he's another guy that looks to have built through the draft. He seems to have some little bit more of analytic talk. So yeah, he's another one that again, I think he and Morocco Brown are probably the two most likely candidates, because I do think that whether it's announced or not, Joe Shayne is going to end up in New York.
Yeah,
Elliot
they might
Wolf.
lose to your Bengals though, Cars.
Elliot
They might
Wolf.
lose.
Any hype on him? Does
Book
the Ron Wolf history, or does it give you pause because he failed in Cleveland?
He was just
when
the
he won?
assistant GM in Cleveland, correct?
He's been interviewed a lot of times and for a number of years, right? He lost out on the GM job to Gutekunst, right? Like he was in
After
the
being
running,
there for a long time,
longer than him. I have with all these guys, right? I have concerns with all of them, but I don't know that he's ready yet. I also don't know necessarily that I just want someone that's that young.
What about the guy, and it's just me, the kid Pope from Kansas City? Poles, thank you. Poles.
Brian Poles.
Yeah.
Another Pace Poles. Did you worry about the Kansas City tie-in with the Nagy experience, or do you look at it, this is a different, monster here? It's a GM. Are you interested in him at all?
No.
No?
Kansas City looked good for a little while in the drafts, but they have really kind of, to me, gone backwards. And I really think that that's way more of Veach's show than anything else.
Brett Veach.
So I keep going back to Morocco. We know Morocco has a voice in that room, and he's been able to use it. With him, with Poles, I don't know, and that makes me worried.
There's a
Rand
question.
Carson, and I heard that the very first GM candidate from Cleveland, Glenn Cook, kind of blew them away. So you look at the Cleveland Browns, they've built through the draft, but they've also signed some big name players, but they've also had some very high draft capital. So when you look at these things, do you put that into the equation? And when someone's an assistant, I just believe you got to ask these guys, when you look at our roster, what do you think? But
Absolutely. And but he's another guy. You got to ask him about, was he there when Baker was drafted? Because if that's that's a question you've got to ask. You've got to ask about the Odell Beckham situation.
Yep.
There, right? Like those are two. I don't know enough about these guys, right? Most I just look through and go, college. How long were you a college scout? And how long were you the director of college scouting? Those things to me, for whatever reason, stand out.
Yeah. I know they do a better job with the Browns giving media access to these players. If you go to the Brown site, you can watch some video on Glenn Cook and find out who he is. They give you these accesses. Other Philadelphia, we always talk about how much access they give, even in taking their scouts and GM and watching college tape like we do at TTNL with the fans. This is what you're getting. They're not afraid of Greg Bragg's filming practice in these. So go check out Glenn Cook. Do you mock draft with what?
Yes, we do.
Do you do mock draft? He wants to know if
yes, we're going to be doing Draft Mob. Barelissimo has probably done 10,000 mocks already.
He's he's at 8,500. Yeah. The tapeneverlies.com will link you directly to the TTNL Patreon, and that's where we do all of our mock drafts and
we're going to do live mocked again with you, the patrons.
And there's going to be the standalone Matthew Karstensen mock draft.
There you go.
The night or 2 nights before the actual draft.
Yeah, he hit it, right?
He did.
Called Justin
Traded
Fields.
up. He got Justin Fields.
Called it.
He did. If you go back and watch our coverage, we're super proud of what we do. That's why we talk about it. If we sucked at it, you probably wouldn't see 470 something people listening live right now. And
3
it's the
hours
best $7 that Jeff Burton, Cars used to be #1 fan, and Tim Markovitz. So go over there. You know, our guy Bullets drafted Kwity Paye last year, 4th overall.
Oh, I forgot about.
We did have a fun. Yeah, we did have a lot of fun doing that and doing a lot of stuff, breaking down tape. The All 22 will be back. Barelissimo, Shayne, and myself, my dad, and all these guests, including Olin Kreutz, Larry Borum wants to come back on. Maybe we get Larry to break down some of the offensive guards in the draft, Shayne.
Yeah, get Tevin. Try to get Tevin Jenkins on.
We've tried. Gonna get some of the Dieter Eisland, get him in the film room. Dieter has been signed back to the Bears, Shayne.
Yeah, and the Bears
future.
The Bears signed Lamar Jackson today, the DB Lamar Jackson.
Oh,
just great
defensive back.
Somebody had a great tweet though. They put out there. They said, "Jesus Christ, Bill Polian has been here for a couple of weeks, and he already moved Lamar Jackson to cornerback."
We need your video, Funkster, so we can put the swag video. Yeah, if you want to get some swag, and we'll give you 20% off right here. BHL 20. We're still running this promo. BHL 20 for 20% off. Get some Keepin It 100 like Kenneth Davis had on tonight, or a hoodie, whatever you want. Do you think Fields is the real deal? Well, yeah. I believed he was the real deal when he was coming out of college. So, yeah, I think Matt Nagy completely and utterly, and I've shown everybody with the tape that, and you now are hearing the players come out, Matt Nagy was in the way of success. And we actually saw it play out on tape. James Daniels talking about having a future Hall of Famer on the other side of the ball chip. But when we're out there, we don't even have a guy chipping against the #1 pass rusher in the league at the time. It's just sad. But
yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit with Fields, but he has to protect the ball.
That?
Yep.
No, he's got to protect the ball. He's got to protect himself. He takes too many unnecessary hits.
Well,
and you don't.
You take these hits when you have a shitty shitty plan.
And if
I'm worried about him.
If you're not cleaned up and trimmed below the belt, Phil, what do you get?
You get messy.
You do. You get the Manscaped 4.0 because roses are red, Phil. They're doing. Look at that. Perfect. Don't move, Claude. Run your fingers up the side.
Roses are red.
Roses are red and violets are blue. Don't let a wild pube wreck you, Claudio. Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and our sponsors at Manscaped are here for you with the best tools to get your balls ready for the special occasion. This V-Day, it's time to join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped, the leaders in below-the-waist grooming, with our exclusive offer. Go to manscaped.com and use the code Shy City Sports for 20% off and free shipping. Don't forget to smell good not only around your balls, but all over. Make their signature scent. The Manscaped Refined Cologne will complement your collection and smell perfection. Manscaped created their products for a night just like this and will make your V-Day date say, wow, great set of balls you have there. Go to manscaped.com for exclusive offer, 20% off and free shipping with the code Shy City Sports. Get 20% off, free shipping with the code Shy City Sports at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Join Cupid and shoot your arrow with Manscaped this Valentine's Day.
There you go. Manscape it up. No,
Jack.
Eddie gonna be? Are you gonna tackle Eddie?
Do you know how to tackle? Do you know how to tackle?
No.
Eddie, will you change?
No.
Hopefully the new coach make that change. Speaking of change, tonight we changed it up. We talked coaches, GMs all night long. We had Kenneth Davis on the show with us. And listen, we're supposed to have some fun on this show, right?
Yes. And there's only one way to have fun.
But listen, everybody.
Only one way to have fun, Phil.
Oh boy.
Only one way. We'll take a little 1-minute break and show you the new and improved Claudio the Barber.
I said, hey, oh, baby, bring that fat ass over here. I want to get it in my mouth. I want to get it in my mouth. Oh, I want to suck on your fat ass. Gotta suck on that ass, baby. I gotta suck on that ass, yo. I'm talking, yo, I'm gonna spread the ass apart, get my tongue in your ass, eating on your ass. So, yo, I'm eating on you, eating on you, eating on your ass. I'm eating on your motherfucking ass. I wanna see it, baby, give me your ass, yo, the whole ass. I wanna eat it with my tongue and mouth, yo, you gotta do it. Work that ass for daddy. Yeah, gotta work that ass for daddy. No, gotta work that ass for daddy. Go ahead, baby girl, gotta work it real good. Gotta work that ass for daddy. You gotta work that ass for daddy.
Get in somebody's ass today.
You're on the air, baby. You're on. You did it. You made it.
Nope.
Nobody is safe.
Shout out Tape Never Lies. Shout out. I know you hear me, baby. Shout out. I know you see me, baby. Shout out. We gotta holler at you. Keep it 100 crew. Gotta show love too. Shout out. I know you hear me, baby. Shout out. I know you see me, baby. Shout out. We gotta holler at you. Keep it 100 crew. Gotta show love too. From the fans in the stands to the follows on the gram. Thanks for your support, showing love in the DM. We stay Spencer strong, fight together till the end. Now it's time to shout out worldwide friends and fam. Like
The network that keeps it real, 100 crew. So many in the world that I gotta show love to. For some this part, single show is at its end. But for me it's so important to thank the charter members and the fans. Built the network, speak the truth through the tape. Never run around the truth, no narratives we create. Set them straight, no bubble screen on 4th and 8. Calling on Shayne, getting nervous, cause keeping them up too late. That's it, no more to say they get the shot of vital. But hurry up, cause the postman's getting homicidal.
shout
Stress is
out,
strong.
I know you hear me, baby.
Shout out,
I know you see me, baby.
shout out.
We gotta holla at you. Keep it 100 crew. Gotta show love too.
Shout out,
I know you hear me, baby.
shout out.
I know you see me, baby.
Shout out.
We gotta holla at you. Keep it 100 crew. Gotta show love
The
too.
network that keeps it real. Stress is strong.
The hiring of Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy, I don't regret that.
Lies, lies, and more lies, and lies on top of lies.
As an organization, we had conviction on this quarterback and his special attributes.
They both brought a lot to the Bears. Ultimately on the field, the results weren't where we wanted it to, but
And that's the only place it matters, Teddy. Sweaty Teddy. Sweaty Teddy, they call him in parts of Chicago and the region, Cherie.
No region. I agree. It's not part of Chicago.
Not.
Claudio.
I'm with Cherie.
You can just say it, Cherie. Say "fuck you, Braggs" from Indiana. You can say it, Cherie.
I'm okay with saying fuck Brad.
Cars.
She
Look
said
at
brag.
Cars. Just
Cars has
his
his
ears
look
just
just
perked
says
up.
fuck Braggs. It's just his look.
I know what you're referring to.
Dave Montgomery was happy. Performance over politics. That's hopefully we get that. Get your shirt. Cars. You're always the quickest to bounce. Let's give you the opportunity if you want to bounce early.
I get in somebody's ass today. Gotta go upstairs. Anyway,
Clip that. I'm friends with his wife on Facebook.
Yeah. I already texted her that it did me, so it's fine. So first off, to my wife, that hope she gets better. She's been fighting COVID, which is always fun. So shout out to her. Second, to my sister, it was a year ago today that we actually made our connection, and I reached out very awkwardly. So we've been in each other's lives now for officially a year. So that poor woman has to deal with it.
Nerd alert!
But yeah, and thanks actually to all the listeners. I know Shayne put on the Girl Scout cookie for my daughter Aubrey. We will be recording the thank you video, but thank everybody for their purchases. We've made her very happy. She comes home from school and asks immediately how many more cookies she sold. So I appreciate that very much. But again, thanks everybody.
They'll win like a prize. They get that package up there with TVs and game systems. No,
not anymore. Like you had to sell it's some ridiculous amount of cookies, like to do any of it now. But she just enjoys it because she's being her little sister right now.
Real
there
quick,
she is, right
real
there.
Quick.
There she is.
Oh, there she is.
5,000 boxes.
No, 5,000 boxes gets you 2 people to Disney World.
Yeah. Wow.
That
Real quick,
takes you to
favorite
Disney
Girl Scout
World?
cookie. Go.
What?
Oh,
Favorite Girl Scout cookie.
Oh, Thin Mint, frozen Thin Mint, hands down.
I gotta keep them in the freezer.
Tag along.
I got some Thin Mints in the freezer too.
Oh,
Yeah, but they have fucking s'more ones.
Mint
now.
isn't a fucking dessert. It's like
They have like s'more ones. I didn't.
They
even,
are good
How
in
long
ice
have they
cream,
had
though.
those?
What's your favorite? Phil?
Yes, Claudio, Thin Mints in
Ice cream.
I do
Yeah, they're
not.
really good. Yeah.
It's
Bill likes
like-
the ones with the caramel and the other. What are those
That's
ones?
a new one, that
Samoan?
brownie one.
Samoa? What are they called?
Samoan. Yeah.
Oh, with the
something like
coconut.
I don't
I like that one, but I like the other one. Is the tag along the peanut butter?
Yeah.
That's the number one for me.
Peanut butter and chocolate.
No.
Yeah, that's the number
But
one.
Thin Mints
for me.
are definitely good. All right. Sorry.
I
Shout
like
out
the
to
tag along. I will tag along with Claudio.
Yeah.
5,000 boxes, cars.
I like the Samoa.
That gets you to
Irish
Disney,
thing.
but that's an
Sounds
impossibility.
like Cars Missouri days.
Don't talk about those days. When you show up at a school and the first day the KKK shows up to campus, you might be in the wrong place. That's just not a good
Yeah, pretty much.
Thank you, everybody. I do have to bounce because I have to go get my kids. So thank you.
All right, brother.
Peace.
Thank you for coming on tonight and always giving us some great drops as we move into the off season. You're doing a great job.
Barely some pulled them all.
You fuck yourself.
Yes, this is a visual show. Real quick, Shayne, we haven't played this in a long time. It's a visual show, but it's also on all of the podcast streaming apps, Claudio, including
Keeping It 100 can be found on all podcast streaming apps: iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Overcast, Castbox, Deezer, and finally, officially on Google Music and Podcasts. It's Keeping It 100 with Phil and Shayne.
Oh, we know Claudio's a
Deezer.
big Deezer fan.
I need to see one fan actually say they got show proof you have Deezer. I just don't think it exists.
There'll be somebody. Just watch the YouTube comments. That'll be, I love you guys, but, and then the guy after that will be, oh, I have a Deezer account.
Yes,
it'll happen.
There's always haters. What do they say though, Cherie? If you don't have haters, you ain't doing it right.
doing it right.
That's right.
Nope. Claudio.
Nope.
Smoke weed every day.
There he is. He
Today.
wasn't cutting it out
Not
tonight,
today.
but he
Nothing
did.
to cut out.
Oh, this is Claudio the Barber. Yo, 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 this is Claudio the Barber. Oh, this is Claudio the Barber. This is Claudio the Barber, and this is Shy City Sports, Keeping It 100. Listen, it's Jesper Horsted's world, and we're just all living in it. Oh, this is Claudio the Barber, and this is Shy City Sports, Keeping It 100. I see you, Sherry. I see you. This is Michael the fucking killer right here. All right?
Never mind. Take him off. I can't even understand him because of the mask. It's done. Take it off.
I've learned over the years to take just about anything that Olin says with a grain of salt.
There you go.
Yes.
That's what we do with Claudio.
Grain of salt. Exactly.
I love that
Actually-
Olin did it on the air.
That
I
was
was
awesome.
hoping that would
was
be
great.
in the intro.
We gotta get that T-shirt going, Shane.
Yes.
Yeah. Salt.
Grain of
So
salt.
shout out to obviously you guys making Wednesday nights fun and break from reality for all of us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we all need that. But shout out to obviously all the fans, 100 crew, all the regulars on there, but a few guys that haven't seen in there. Kerry Franklin, Angelo Ruccia, and Tony
Angelo.
Terry. Angelo.
What?
No, Angelo's in. Yeah, there he is. What? And yeah.
Angelo.
and that's about it. To you.
There it is.
Pass it to
Cherie.
you.
Cherie.
So my shout out is gonna go strictly to you guys because I texted Shane earlier. I've been in such a shitty mood today, not wanting to get out of bed and just kind of looking forward to the show tonight. That was the only thing. And Shane sent me some pictures that made me laugh. But
This invention here is called.
Oh, not those.
But just with the way I've been feeling today, just having this show to look forward to and just hanging out with you guys, has kind of made it a better day for me. So I really appreciate what you do. And I'm sure there are a lot of fans out there that's going through that too. So my shout out is to you guys.
See?
Oh, that's
putting smiles on faces.
Listen, that was very empathetic and compassionate. I love that. And I agree, Cherie. I needed this show tonight because in life continues to give us lemons. Gotta try to make some lemonade out of this stuff. So very well said. And listen, Cherie, we love and appreciate you, and we always breaking chops and stuff, but you're such a great sport. And I think you have gained a lot of fans by your complete, utter honesty and your truth. And I think, Kenneth Davis said it, and I think you agree wholeheartedly. No matter where you've gone and will continue to go, you're always going to be hopeful about these Bears.
Yeah.
It's the one relationship Shayne and Phil don't have to fucking go to the site to find the date.
It's a toxic relationship we have, though.
It is such a
fucking toxic as fuck.
Yes.
For those of you calling that 1-800 number on the bulletin board.
Yes, this is your therapy session. All of you Bears fans that are real fans, unlike Kyle Brandt. Kyle Brandt don't watch this show because he doesn't want the truth like this. We'll all praise Matt Nagy. Anyway, don't get me started. Shayne Marsaw, your shout out.
Yeah, I'm gonna shout out my mom. Shared with you guys that she was diagnosed with colon cancer and had major surgery to help rectify that unfortunate situation. She's a trooper, real tough surgery and tough recovery. We got her home yesterday to my dad's house, and I was actually off from work, so I shot up to my mom and dad's house. There's my mom, 82 years young.
It's a great pic.
Sitting there with my daughter. She was very, very happy. She's been without seeing any of the grandkids for almost 3 weeks. So it was an emotional time for all of us getting to see her. She's on the mend, obviously not out of the woods yet, but in the Marsaw way, in the TTNL way, when we get bad news, we tighten our shoes and bootstraps and tighten our belts and put our heads down and move forward and fight like the only way we know how. And that's what my mom is doing, and that's what she's going to continue to do. And Claudio and I talked before the show, talking about moms, and everybody has, struggles in their lives, and it hits different when it's your mom. It's just different. Said to Claude, you can make yourself a ham and cheese sandwich yourself, and when your mom makes it with the same exact bread and the same exact condiments and everything, it just tastes better. And I got the best mom out there. Sorry to everybody else's mom, but mine's the best. And I love you, Mom, and we're going to be there for you every step of the way, no matter where or how you need the help. You've been there for me, and now it's my turn to be there for you.
And your mom watches every show, right?
She does. She may not be able to watch it live, but she runs it back. And everybody in my grandmother, my grandmothers both have unfortunately passed on, but my mom, one of the things, she's like, Shayne, I never knew you swore like that, but you don't swear as much as Phil, but you do swear a lot. My mom calls me Shayne, by the way. I probably shouldn't let that out there.
Oh, no.
There go the YouTube comments.
There it goes. Shayne's the new thing on YouTube.
Yep.
Well said. And everybody should feel that way about their mom. So that's keeping it 100.
That's right.
What happened to our brand over the top? I don't know where it went. Did we hit it?
Jackal probably took it down.
There it is. Yeah. Spencer Strong. I want to shout out Ryan Cox and Spencer, Shayne and Riley. Cool Kennedy. I'm going to go out with a Cool Kennedy song tonight. just for the offseason to get you ready. I'll set that up for you later. I want to shout him and his mom, Gigi, who also has been struggling with cancer. She got some good news, so she's been doing better. I see Gigi posting some pics. That's what I like to see. Shout out. I want to shout out HL Priest, always supporting TTNL. Bullets, my guy Bullets, always supporting TT. And I want to thank Eric Kramer. Shout him out, former Bears quarterback, jumping on X's with the O's this past weekend. He loved it so much he wants to come back. I want to shout out Ron G and Caden Whitlow for all their production. The Great Marlowe. Got to shout out Mark Egan, Alan Golden, Tony Donato, Johnny McNabb, Corey Kennedy for some of the pictures, including the one he did of Claudio for Claudio's birthday.
I wish I looked that good. Fuck.
My boy Lee Martin, security man. He was out there. My boy Brennan McElrath. McElrath. Got a shout out at Brennan's old.
What?
He's always Chris Harold. Got a shout out our patron Chris Harold, Adam Westby. I see him in the chat. Jerome Ransom, Deborah Buckman, Dwayne Jordan. I think that's how we say your name, Dwayne. Isaac Nieves, Jeff Burton, Adam Walters, Michael Tran, and his egg rolls. My boy, the fullback, Chris Price, and Funkster Jones. I just can't thank everybody enough. Kenneth Davis, wanted to shout you, Edwin Lopez, Thomas Adams, Richard Godina, Jesse Beltran, Rich Ruiz, Adam Libowitz, and Len Sawinski. Jared Perry, I think he was in the chat. So I wanted to shout out all of you guys. Bear Truth 9, I think he's in the shout out. We might not always agree, but I think we all can agree that this is the best Bears show on the motherfucking planet. It ain't close. They could try to copy, they could try to duplicate, but there's something to be said, as Shayne said last week. We just did a 4-hour show, no script, didn't write a question down to Olin whatsoever. And we just fucking flowed for 4 hours. 30 minutes, actually, it was. 4 hours plus last week. And that's truth. I can't think of better people to spend Wednesday nights with than the cast, the producers, and you fans that stand up for the truth. I can promise you this, as soon as the fucking name, the GM is named, we are going to be live on our Patreon side having some guests. As soon as the head coach's name, we're going to be live on our Patreon side having some guests. So you're going to want to sign up. TTNL, the Patreon side, the tapeneverlies.com. Go over there. X's with the O's. I don't need to play the promo. I think you guys understand what we're doing. Guests, tape, analysis, mock drafts, free agency, press conferences, all of it over there. And trust me when I say this, we appreciate your support. There's a lot of people to thank, a lot of hard work that goes into this, and I truly appreciate everybody that has a helpful hand. Even some of the shitty advice makes me understand we're doing it better. Always get home from work just in time for shout-outs. Guess gonna have to catch it on the reroute.
Golly, what the hell is going on?
Kenneth Davis, tremendous guest, under center. I just love when he comes on here because he keeps it 100, lets loose. That's what our guests want. David Kaplan will jump on with us, Shayne, as soon as the new head coach is named. He's already said, "You're my destination, Phil. You got to get on TTNL and talk about the new direction." So that's breaking news if you're staying on this late. All right, guys. For Shayne Marsaw, Claudio, yo, the barber, and Cherie. Are you still single, Cherie?
Yes.
Okay. And
might not have been in a rut today if I wasn't.
Look at you dropping some fun. Anyway, Cherie still single. Shayne, we got to do that.
Get in somebody's ass today.
It's a good thing TTNL does not have an HR department. That's all I gotta say. It's just a good thing.
It is a good thing. Speaking of good things, this is from Cool Kennedy and myself, and it's gonna be the pride of this network because you gotta stop listening to these fucking troll ass little bitches saying they have sources. Don't listen to these fucking blog boys bullets, right?
You're on the air, baby. You're on. You did.
Real quick.
David Montgomery, because a lot of these blog boys, these fucking stat trolls, you see the fucking blog boys talking about this.
Blog boys and haters. Trolls on Twitter, fraud manipulators. Oh yeah. Blog boys and haters. Trolls on Twitter, snap manipulators. Oh yeah. Take it to the level that most never thought of. This crazy world, people treat a keyboard like a sword off. Narrative crusher, so many demons that I'm fought off. Take never lies, blog boys get fucking caught. PFS with the fishes, but they still gonna troll. Putting warrants on top, make them look like an asshole. Nagy calling plays, but no clue on personnel. Running towards the CP, short side behind Leno. These dudes on that block like J-Lo. Montgomery is elite,
cause DDP says so.
A front office nightmare like the haunted of Hill House. Blog boys get to step in and take your boy Mill out. Blog boys and haters. Trolls on Twitter, fraud manipulators. Oh yeah. Blog boys and haters. Trolls on Twitter, snap manipulators. Oh yeah.
Word. Blog boys changing stats like report cards. No PFF, straight F-Soul and no scorecard. You gotta have heart to play. A little soul like Marvin Gaye. Goes a long way, throw the strong fade at an out route. Power, I see the end zone. I hope Maggie takes a smart route and gives a play calls like McCaskey money. Blog boys and haters talking, but they stats is funny. The tape never lies. Think it's when you get smacked with honey and get swept like the tight end on 4th and 1 tries. Be big time, you small fries. Twitter fingers typing for the clout. They never train, they all cry.
Blog boys and haters. Trolls on Twitter, fraud manipulators. Oh yeah. Blog boys and haters. Trolls on Twitter, snap manipulators. Oh yeah. Blog boys and haters. Trolls on Twitter, snap manipulators. Oh yeah. Come on. Haters. Feeling it, Cool Kennedy. Trolls on Twitter, snap manipulators. Oh yeah. Blog boys, trolls on Twitter, snap manipulators. Oh yeah. Blog boy, TTNL, Twitter, snap manipulators. Blog boy.
This has been a Shy City Sports presentation and a Tape Never Lies Network production. Keeping it 100. Thanks for tuning in to the Tape Never Lies Network.
Get in somebody's ass today.
I can only imagine the smells coming out of that thing, but you know.